Tick tock, feed the croc. Hey, hey, Wolfpack, we're back with another surprise tier list. Making sure everything works. Okay, hey y'all, Catastrophe's back, ready to do another tier list. Yes, after the fiasco yesterday, we are going to try this again. This time talking about another Batman villain. We will be ranking all of the Killer Crocs. Yes, we have all the Killer Crocs, and thankfully this might be a short tier list because there's not too many of them. Tick-tock, feed the croc. Hey, Shadowlink. Hi, Fatal Waffle. Glad you guys made it. Making sure my stuff works, making sure we have good internet this time. Yep, we're gonna be ranking all the Killer Crocs for this spooky season. Yeah, you can tell we're running low on scary Batman villains. I know technically all of them can qualify as scary, but we're talking about Killer Croc, the second scariest Batman villain. Okay, maybe third, after Scarecrow and Joker. Yep, we're talking about Waylon Jones, aka Killer Croc, the deranged gangster crocodile man / cannibal serial killer. Killer Croc is one of Batman's more obscure but underrated villains. Basically, his story kind of changes from interpretation to interpretation, similar to Two-Face and Mr. Freeze. It varies how evil or sympathetic he is. Waylon Jones was a poor kid diagnosed with a rare skin condition which turned his skin into hardened scales, making him look like a reptile. He was bullied and teased in his youth, lived with an abusive aunt, had a horrible childhood, and eventually grew up into an insane crocodile man, committing crimes against Gotham City out of revenge. Depending on what interpretation you follow, sometimes he's a sympathetic person slowly losing his mind to his monster disease, or sometimes he's full-on evil and fully aware of his actions, literally becoming ugly on the outside and inside. Waylon Jones is an interesting character. He is not as iconic as like the Joker or Two-Face or Catwoman. He has had his backstory, origin, and even his personality re-altered in a ton of stuff. Sadly, Killer Croc falls under the same umbrella as Bane, usually depicted as a big stupid brute who the heroes beat up. Yeah, this is the kind of the tough guy character. He's the big hulking monstrous brute, thinks about killing, thinks about fighting, usually wants to eat people, and the other heroes usually beat him up because he's more of an obstacle than a character. He has had some very fascinating interpretations over the years, mostly the Arkham saga y'all know and love, and some unnoticed ones I want to shine the spotlight on, but he has had a few bad ones. There's a lot of cameo Crocs on here. So I have a thought. If you ever run out of Batman villains list, there's always Spider-Man villains. Yeah, Green Goblin. Hey everyone, AV Scorpio. Hi Cat, hey Akira, you made it just in time. Okay, so Killer Croc is not as huge as like the Joker, Catwoman, but he has appeared in a decent number of media. Usually is the big stupid brute character, but has had some interesting episodes, interesting adventures, and very fascinating takes on the characters. Some good and some not so good. Hey, Dark Tomorrow, you made it back. And I'll be ranking every interpretation of Killer Croc, his character, his look, his personality, and his depiction as one of Batman's most fiercest foes on the big screen, both in games, TV shows, and movies, up here on this tier list from top best to bottom worst. And I did give him creative slots this time, because Killer Croc's a pretty fun character. My brother Wolf considers Killer Croc his favorite Batman villain. Wanted Wolf to show up, but unfortunately Wolf was busy. He had other stuff. But I'll be ranking them on this here tier list from top best to bottom worst. So I'll go over the rules if this is your first tier list ever. I'll be placing each and every Killer Croc interpretation up here in these different slots categorizing him. Up top we have Killer. Yeah, I know, it's simple, but super effective. This is the S-tier Crocs, the perfect ones, the 10 out of 10s, the most iconic and greatest interpretations of our human-shaped crocodile man. Basically, the best Crocs ever. Underneath that, we have Awesome Alligator. These ones, good, not great. I would say 8 or 9s out of 10s. Had a lot of good stuff going for them. Were definitely interesting depictions of the killer, and had a lot of fun episodes, but not really one of my all-time favorite characters ever made, but still pretty awesome. Then we have Beta Beast. These ones, average, the okay Crocs, the adequately serviceable killers. These are Killer Crocs who basically kind of amount to your basic Killer Croc depiction. They're okay, usually they did a fine job, had an interesting design maybe, but not really a well-rounded Killer Croc character, kind of weak, had some strengths but also some weaknesses. Usually Killer Croc's weakness is a very shallow personality, but these ones kind of okay, they're serviceable Crocs. Underneath that, we have Croc Chow. These ones are bronze skulls, the weak ones, the underdeveloped gators, if you will. These are Crocs who haven't fully evolved to the high standard we know the killer as. Basically, had a spark of hope there, but ended up kind of weak, a mess, or plain forgettable. Basically, your lousy gators. Then underneath we have Croc-a-Who. Yeah, I know, these are basically, it's a funny pun, but these are Crocs I don't know. Haven't seen their show, haven't seen their story, don't recognize or have any deep familiarity with these Killer Crocs. And sadly, we'll see a handful on here. Not too many, I do recognize most of them, but basically, Crocs I don't know. But at rock bottom, we have Croc Dung. Yeah, if you don't know, 0 out of 10, the worst of the worst, the failed Killer Crocs, if you will. The worst depictions of Killer Croc ever, and the worst characters ever made. And I think you all know exactly he's gonna go down here, but let's have fun doing this tier list. What about the lizard from Spider-Man? Yeah, I guess he works too. Though I wouldn't really consider him scary. Also, in his origins, he's an African-American mutant with Croc DNA. Yeah, most depictions of Killer Croc are usually black. I have heard some are white, and most noticeably the southerner ones are usually Cajun, but the Batman's Killer Croc had, like, dreadlocks just to show you that he was a black guy. Wouldn't Croco-Dung sound better? Yeah, it would, but Croc-Dung, basically the same thing, you get it. Killer Croc versus Leatherhead, or versus the Lizard in Death Battle. And even a weird romance with a certain baby doll. Yeah, my brother Wolf reviewed that. Killer Croc is actually my brother Wolf's favorite character. I like Croc fine. I think he's a really cool concept, has a lot of great designs, and a really savage fighting style. Unfortunately, Croc has not gained the spotlight as much as the other villains we've been ranking. Notably, the Joker and Catwoman and even Two-Face are all much more household name Batman villains. Croc is a little more obscure, but after the Arkham Saga brought him into the spotlight, I would argue that Croc is slowly rising in popularity again, though you'll still find some fans, a lot of normies who don't know who Croc fully is. And that's what we're here to go over. Hey, Cat, how are you? Hey, Sega, we're fine. Just came back from working on some stuff. Killer Croc tier list, yep. What if Killer Croc met Reptile from Mortal Kombat? Would they get along or kill each other? I think they might get along, actually. Though Reptile is becoming a good guy in the new timeline. Just came back from the swap meet, but didn't find any Pokemon cards. Okay, Saga, we came back from shopping too. Wolf got a book. Yeah, ranking the lizards. Like Batman Ninja should have brought Killer Croc, but maybe as a yokai, or the Shark Mutant Ninja from Naruto. That could have worked, but I guess he was too hard to animate, and we already had Gorilla Grodd as the Animal Man. Okay, so I like Killer Croc fine. He's usually a hired thug, he's a merc, he's the muscle. Sometimes Killer Croc is a cunning and genius supervillain, can cook up some clever schemes, is mostly a physical threat towards Batman. He's a crocodile man, and batarangs and Batman's weapons usually don't harm him because he has really thick scales. Fights in a lot of underwater and sewer levels against Batman. Killer Croc is a pretty fun character, however, he's not nearly the same threat level as the Joker or Two-Face or even all the mafiosos Batman fights. Killer Croc is a straight-up animal man, a vicious brute, and Batman has to usually rely on his brains to defeat Killer Croc because he's that unstoppable. I point to Arkham Asylum as one of the biggest examples because Croc is so strong, Batman cannot beat him in a head-on fight. He zaps him with like a shot collar or whatever to zap him, or cooks up clever schemes to outmaneuver the animal man. Killer Croc thinks with his claws, his fists, and animal instinct, whereas Batman has to adapt to fighting Killer Croc, but that's what kind of made Croc interesting, because Batman could not always physically wrestle him. Still waiting for Kamen Rider and reading chapter 18 of The Nightmare Room, Don't Forget Me. Oh, you're still reading it? Dang, man, I finished My Name is Evil before I made that episode. Also, maybe we could get a Green Goblin tier list for Halloween. Yeah, that could work. Well, I don't think anyone's gonna like Batman Unlimited Green Goblin. Well, no Teen Titans Go, Killer Croc, and I kind of like that. Yeah, no Teen Titans Go, Croc. It's basically just a cameo. Most of the big DC characters cameo on Teen Titans Go. But we got all the Crocs who matter. The big ones, the small ones, the cameos, and the Suicide Squad Croc. Yeah, remember he was in that? Alright, so let's finally get this tier list underway. Let's start with a good Killer Croc. We'll start with the first Killer Croc ever in any media. Batman the Animated Series, Killer Croc Morgan, the weird gray Killer Croc, who I will put onto Awesome Alligator. Sorry, Batman the Animated Series fans, no disrespect, but Killer Croc was like one of the villains that fell smack in the middle for me, even as a kitten. Killer Croc had a very quirky redesign. This is a gray version of Killer Croc. They wanted to make him look like an actual crocodile because most crocodiles are not green. They're usually like brown, gray, or black. Yeah, nature is weird. And this is Killer Croc from the animated series. Killer Croc actually had a very interesting episode. He had a vendetta against Harvey Bullock. Yeah, Harvey Bullock arrested Croc years ago. Croc used to be a wrestler known as Killer Croc Morgan. He wrestled alligators, wrestled people, turned into a mutant freak over time. Harvey Bullock had him arrested, but Killer Croc adapted into his full Crocodile Man form, escaped prison, and hatched an insane scheme to frame Harvey Bullock and have his life ruined out of revenge. No, that's a perfect place for him. Okay, good. Aaron Kincaid played him in the original series, then the reboot season, they gave him an updated redesign. We'll get to him later. So, I actually found this Croc kind of interesting, had good episodes at first, but then we get to the moment that kind of ruined him, almost got him, kind of poisoned Killer Croc's reputation forever, though Killer Croc did have good episodes before that. Before Killer Croc just became the mindless jobber brute, he actually was a pretty interesting villain. He nearly succeeds at ruining Harvey Bullock's life, killing all the people who had him arrested, actually fought Batman and nearly won against him. Croc's mutation allowed him to breathe underwater for long amounts of time, and he has a very savage wrestling match with Batman where he almost drowns the Dark Knight in sewer water. They're like fighting in his underground lair, and Croc actually almost beats up Batman, so that's why he kind of wins some points. But no, Batman eventually defeats Croc, saves Harvey Bullock, and this leads to Batman and Bullock becoming kind of frenemies. Harvey Bullock is very much against the Dark Knight at first. He's that cop who doesn't trust him because he's a vigilante, but he proves Harvey Bullock is innocent, saves his life from Killer Croc, and this actually turns Harvey Bullock around on Batman. He begrudgingly respects the Dark Knight. Won't say it to his face, of course, but yeah, they become kind of frenemies. They respect each other, and he finally shows some respect towards the Dark Knight. Killer Croc is defeated, comes back in a much more interesting episode, the Circus Freak episode. I actually do like this one. I think it's one of the pinnacle Killer Croc stories. Batman fights Killer Croc again. Killer Croc escapes from prison and almost kills the Batman by luring him into a quarry where I threw a rock at him. I do actually like this. Killer Croc actually nearly kills the Batman by throwing a giant boulder at him. Yeah, he fails to mention it was a big rock. It was a huge, like, boulder. He tosses it at Batman. They're, like, fighting in a quarry by the river. Batman almost gets killed by this. Killer Croc manages to escape, but finds himself stumbling upon a circus troupe. Killer Croc pretends he's escaping from an abusive circus ringleader and takes shelter with this kind-hearted, gentle, friendly circus folk. These circus freak shows like Siamese Twins, a seal boy, a hunchback ringleader, and a strong man who's not very smart. They take Croc under their wing, and Croc actually gets a family from the circus freaks. They show him respect, show him kindness. Croc kind of pretends to be nice and for a moment almost considers becoming good. He finds a home with the circus troupe. However, ultimately, Croc is a bad guy. We find out that Croc could have reformed, could have ran away with the circus, could have had a clean slate essentially, start over, show them love, caring, and compassion, and be accepted for once for his deformities. However, Croc decides he's going to rob the circus and betray them. Batman intervenes, he turns the circus against Batman, but Batman reveals the truth that Croc is a wanted criminal and he betrayed them. Croc has like a vicious fight against them, the circus freaks stand up for themselves and take Croc out, and it leads to one of Killer Croc's best moments prior to the Arkhamverse, of course. Killer Croc is captured in like a Hannibal Lecter stretcher. He has like the mouth guard and he's being taken away, and the Seal Boy who loved Croc is asking him why. Why, Croc? Why'd you hurt us? Why'd you betray us? You could have been one of us. You told me I could be myself. Well, I was. Yeah, Croc was being himself, and this is who Croc is. He's more of a monster than a person. Croc, deep down, is a bad man, and Croc gets taken away, throwing away his one chance at happiness, because at the end of the day, he is a selfish, petty crook. I threw a rock at him. It was a big rock. That became his iconic scene from the animated series. I think the Circus Freaks episode is a very underrated Killer Croc story. I was surprised at how good it was and how it fleshed out Killer Croc into something more than just a big scary brute. Yeah, don't worry, Akira. No Teen Titans Go, Croc. We're gonna get Killer Croc from the Batman Night Force Ninja toy line by Kenner. Okay, looking forward to that one, but he's not on this tier list. Since Killer Croc was once human, is he warm-blooded, cold-blooded, or both? He slowly mutates into a reptile more and more as the years go by. I would say he becomes cold-blooded by the end. By present day, he's definitely cold-blooded. He started out warm, though. Aaron Kincaid played him. He did a pretty good job. Unfortunately, they replaced Kincaid when they adopted the new animation style, the infamous Red Sky season, though I think Killer Croc was one of the few villains who benefited from the animation change. Okay, that is a perfect place for him. He was Mayor Lenny in the real Ghostbusters. Off to hear him again. Granted, he does have his highlights, especially in the Vendetta episode. Unfortunately, Croc kind of became a joke from Almost Got Him onward. Croc became kind of this dumb, stupid brute. His biggest career highlight as a villain was throwing a rock at Batman. Yeah, they take out the part where it was a giant boulder that nearly crushed the Dark Knight, but yeah, he threw a rock at Batman, got his ass kicked, and none of the villains respect him, which is hilarious if you watch him in the Arkhamverse and he turns into a kaiju Croc, but nope, none of them respect him. He's just a stupid guy who throws rocks. And he was Skylink, Sweep, and Mark Morgan in Transformers G1. Oh, really? Fritter Away in the OG DuckTales. Oh, and he was in Robot Chicken as Killer Croc. He was? I'll have to watch their DC specials again. The condition Croc was born with sounds like a real disease, known as harlequintothiosis. Hi, Cat, what I missed? Not much, Bat Kid. We're still on the first Killer Croc animated series Croc, the infamous gray version. Okay, so I wasn't a huge fan of this design. I first experienced Killer Croc from the Lego games and the Arkhamverse, where he was usually green, so I was kind of thrown off seeing Killer Croc as this big gray guy. It was definitely an interesting design. Thankfully, the writing definitely made up for him. He felt like an actual character, and he did have threatening moments. Sorry, I catch up on comments. Even though it could have been Harley Quinn disease. Too bad he was just using them and stick to his criminal ways. Shame he had a chance to reform. Yeah, all of Batman's villains have this episode where they could have been the good guy, they could have reformed, they could have abandoned their villain lifestyle and gained a chance at happiness. Ultimately, all of Batman's villains are kind of deconstructed and challenged in this show. We see they could have been good. Killer Croc had his own potential reform episode, but no, ultimately deep down he's a selfish, greedy bastard. He's a crook, and he was himself, essentially, as he said. He was always going to screw over the circus folk. He thought about turning good, but ultimately, Croc is responsible for his own actions and life choices, and he made the wrong ones. Too bad he was just using them, yeah. Of course, many other Batman villains tried to reform, like Penguin. Yeah, all of them tried to reform. Penguin tried, Two-Face tried, the Riddler tried, and even Catwoman tried. Almost all of Batman's villains tried to reform, even Killer Croc here. And at the end, the episode shows you that no, deep down, their flaws, insecurities, or villainous side always overshadow their good traits. And Killer Croc definitely was one of the worst ones because he chose to accept his style as a villain. So a villain that been bullied by other people by treating Croc as a monster. Yeah, but this version of Croc does not have the sad childhood story. Other versions do. This one got his mutation when he was an adult. He could have been redeemed and happy, but no, oh no, he had to be selfish. Yeah, Croc wanted their money. He used them the whole time. Are we gonna get the Lego Croc? Yeah, he's on here. We got like 4 Lego Killer Crocs. I guess Killer Croc's blood became cold as his heart. Yep, like Mr. Freeze. Okay. Since he is cold-blooded, that would make him easier for him to freeze with ice water. Yeah, that has happened to him. The Batman did show that was possible. Like, why gray? Like, it's better than Jagged Stone Wish to be a crocodile? Well, because they wanted to base him off, like, a real-life crocodile, and most crocodiles are, like, gray or brown, kind of dark-skinned, not the traditional green. Green is often associated with alligators, and a lot of people mix up alligators and crocodiles, including me. Mr. Freeze was the only one that is redeemed until Batman Beyond. Yeah, as much as I love Victor, that episode returned him back to his roots as a villain. At least the lizard reformed. Glad he did. I think with Penguin he had a chance, but the girl only used him. Yes, society is to blame. High society. That line is perfect. I think I don't remember it well. So is Clayface. Yeah, Clayface too. And Harley Quinn also had a chance to reform multiple times for Harley. But no, she always chose her Mr. J until the movie. Okay, so I do like this Killer Croc. Unfortunately, he doesn't make it to S tier because from Almost Got Him onward, he became known as the Stupid Brute. One of Croc's worst episodes is, ironically, the Bane episode. Bane enters, and exactly like his comic, he beats up Killer Croc. Batman and Robin are tracking Killer Croc down for one of his crime sprees, but Croc nearly gets away, only to bump into Bane. And Croc is essentially beat up, he's warped, he's taken down very easily to show how more badass Bane is. Yes, Bane beats up Killer Croc to show you that he is the stronger villain, and Croc is kind of hospitalized, kind of comedically. Batman interrogates him in the hospital, like threatens to hurt his leg by lowering it down, hurting it with the pain he's suffering, and Croc basically squeals, tells him who Bane is. Yeah, he kind of became a joke from this point onward. Croc is not taken seriously by any of the other villains. Almost Got Him kind of makes fun of this to the point where Batman can impersonate him, and none of the villains picked up on it because none of them liked Killer Croc. Also, Croc was in the Bat Fam movie, but we waited for round 2 Killer Croc tier list. Yeah, I've not seen Bat Fam. I saw him in the commercial. I am not gonna look forward to that show. We're talking about the Crocs who matter. Which one, the horrible Batman Harley Quinn movie, or Batman Beyond Return of the Joker? That one, the Return of the Joker one, Harley did reform. I'm such a freak. Society is bad. Live action Cat in the Hat laugh. You drink water, I drink anarchy. Live action Cat in the Hat laugh. Because the team up takes place before. Okay. Okay, to wrap up, this Killer Croc is pretty good. I'll put him on Awesome Alligator. Fortunately, Croc would get a great redesign in the Red Sky season. Here he is. We got Red Sky's Killer Croc, who, gasp, is actually green. This Croc, I like his design, but we're gonna have to put him onto Beta Beast. Mostly because he has one of the worst episodes of the animated series, Love is a Croc. Okay, so I do like this redesign. Croc is actually green, looks a lot more reptilian, and I think the voice is a little better than Kincaid's. Yeah, I know I might piss off some people, but the guy actually sounds like kind of reptilian, has like this hissing voice. Ah, the Dark Knight. He has like this deep booming black guy voice. Okay, so Killer Croc actually does get part of his comic origin where he's treated as a freak by society. Killer Croc is shown arrested at first in a new season. He's at his trial and gives this very sad sob story like the Joker, how society has branded him a monster, so that's what he became. Nobody understands him. He's kind of given this Superboy Prime-esque speech. Yeah, Killer Croc believes that society looks down upon him. It's very clear the story is complete BS, but Baby Doll falls in love with him. Baby Doll buys into his words because Baby Doll also has a body condition. Baby Doll's a little person. She looks like a child, even though she's a grown-ass woman. Killer Croc has confirmed that he suffered this disease for a long time. He's treated like an animal, tries to escape, but is recaged in Arkham Asylum. However, yeah, we do have to talk about it. The infamous story. Baby Doll falls in love with Killer Croc, breaks him out of Arkham Asylum, and the two hook up, becoming a Bonnie and Clyde supervillain couple. And yeah, it is very weird, very uncomfortable, and they actually poke fun of, how do you think Killer Croc and Baby Doll do it? Yeah, there is an adult joke snuck in there, and it is kind of squicky. Yeah, Brooks Gardner, feels better. The design is much better. I think Brooks Gardner honestly did a pretty good job as Croc. Nothing special, but I think he sounds a lot more sinister than Kincaid. Kincaid did the stupid brute voice. Yeah, it does feel better. Killer Croc can beat up Bane back in the game Injustice Gods Among Us through the stage transition on the Arkham stage. Yeah, I do remember that. Killer Croc should not lose to Bane. They should be evenly matched. He didn't really get to do much in Season 4, though, and he and Eva had a kind of thing with Baby Doll. They kind of had a thing together, yeah, so Killer Croc gets his one episode in this season. He does make cameos all throughout, but that's kind of it. He shows up, gets beaten up by Batman. Love as a Croc is the only spotlight episode on him. Killer Croc and Baby Doll actually form a pretty nice, wholesome relationship through most of it. It's kind of uncomfortable because Baby Doll still acts like a little girl. She brings back her Baby Doll villainous persona, acts like a little girl having fun, and acts more like a little girl with a crush on a grown man, and yeah, it kind of gets uncomfortable at certain points because she's still dressing like a little girl, playing with toys, and acting like Croc is her lovey-dovey man. Croc eventually gets sick and tired of Baby Doll, actually cheats on her. He's hooked up with these random girls. I do not know what woman would want to bang Killer Croc, especially if you see him in Arkham Asylum, but yeah, he cheats on Baby Doll, says that, oh, he's just using her for one final big score, then he plans to cash out of Gotham. However, Baby Doll found out that he was cheating on her and realizes that she was being used. Baby Doll tragically goes nuts, lures Croc into a trap, and tries to blow up Croc in the entire city. They're at a dam, she's about to destroy it, and Croc gets really pounded and beat up. I will say he does deserve it, it's kind of his comeuppance, but Croc realizes Baby Doll is the crazier one and he wants to get away from her. Batman and Batgirl show up and they defeat the villain couple. Croc gets his comeuppance, he's beaten up, dethroned, and knocked out with very chemical water. It hurts him, it burns him, he can't swim through it, and Batman takes him out, and Baby Doll's crying that, why, we could have been happy together, and it ends kind of in a depressing breakup moment. So no female Killer Croc, that could be weird. We do have one female Croc on here, the girl from Gotham. We'll get to her soon. I always imagine him having a Louisiana accent. Yeah, Croc had a Cajun accent. The Batman introduced this, and he kind of kept it in some of his depictions. It's bizarre. Yeah, I agree, Shadowlink. And yeah, they do poke fun of, how do Baby Doll and Killer Croc do it? And Batman and Batgirl have this funny exchange. They sneak in an adult joke, questioning how they do it. As Austin Powers would say, no, I mean, literally, how do you do it? The sheer physical dynamics are astounding. It's hard James Gunn brings Baby Doll in live action. I think he could find a little person, but she has to, look like a little girl, too. At least she's not an actual child. She's not, but the fact that she role plays as a little girl and does look like one is where the uncomfortableness sinks in. I wonder Batman the Animated Series Croc got dumb because he'd been eating rocks. Like Killer Croc in Injustice 3. I hope he is. I'm real sick of seeing Bane and all the Injustice stuff. True, that would have made it worse, but it's weird still. It is. Like I'm glad Twisted Childhood Universe TikTok Crocodile be like Killer Croc. Like, it's a shame Lewis the alligator actor should have played Killer Croc. Unfortunately, he didn't. So, Killer Croc does get one last appearance in the Judgment Day episode. This Croc, the green one, actually almost gets killed by the judge. We see all of Batman's villains are hatching villain schemes, but a second vigilante is in town, a mysterious judge. He's like a vigilante judge, this Grim Reaper, old-fashioned Puritan judge kind of superhero. He shows up and he's attempting to murder Batman's villains. Killer Croc is one of the villains who nearly gets killed. Killer Croc gets like ripped off by the Penguin, laughs at him for almost getting killed by the judge. Then he tries to steal from like a bank delivery truck. He goes under the sewer, almost succeeds, but the judge shows up and almost kills Killer Croc by throwing him off a building. Thankfully, Batman and Robin show up and they save Killer Croc's life. Croc is barely spared from splattering all over the pavement, and that's kind of the last we ever see of him in the DCAU. Yeah, this Croc, I think he's fine. Didn't really get to do much. I do think they improved his design. His character, kind of a question mark. Love is a Croc is the only episode we have to work with, and basically it's Croc is ugly on the outside and inside type of lesson. Though personally, the Circus Freaks episode I think was the better take on it. Because he's played by Darkseid's actor, that was Michael Ironside. You see, when a baby doll and Killer Croc love each other very much, they get pinched and paralyzed by Krogunk. Okay, so this Croc, he's fine. We'll put him on to B tier. He's a beta beast. Alright, next we'll knock off DCU Online Killer Croc. I haven't played DC Universe Online in forever, so I have to put him on Croc-a-Who. Yeah, I do like this design. He looks more lizard-like, but haven't played this game in ages. Is the DC Universe Online even still up? Yeah, I'll give him credit. Cool design, but haven't replayed this game. Speaking of which, Akira, if you're watching, I'm sorry, gonna have to put Justice League versus Ruby Croc also on Croc-a-Who. Yeah, much to my surprise, Killer Croc was on Justice League versus Ruby. I heard he, like, makes a cameo, they, like, fight him together. We see the Ruby characters fighting DC villains, and the Justice League fighting Ruby villains. I have not watched Ruby before in my 9 lives. I did see the pilot, I didn't get into it, and haven't kept up with the show. Not sure I will now because there's like 20 of the 30 seasons. Never played this game. Yeah, it's kind of an old game. The DC Universe Online came out like back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Didn't catch on like the Arkham Saga did. So dark. Yep, it is Akira. Maxwell Friedman played him. He was in the movie? Yeah, he was. I guess he was in part 1 or part 2. He was kind of a villain that the Ruby Squad fight. Alright, speaking of which, I'm also gonna put, sorry, Akira, Suicide Squad Isekai Killer Croc. He's going on Croc-a-Who too. I completely forgot there was an anime Suicide Squad. Yeah, did you guys remember this? Japan made a Suicide Squad miniseries, Suicide Squad Isekai, and Killer Croc is one of the squad mates. I've never seen this. I was actually going to, but just forgot. It's one of those things that fell by the wayside for me. I was gonna watch it, never got around to it, and apparently Killer Croc is a squad mate. Killer Croc is the rogue bad boy who plays by his own rules. I do like this design, I will say. This is anime Killer Croc, but yeah, I never watched it. He's gotta go on Croc-a-Who. Okay, he's on part 2, not part 1. Alright, thank you, Kira. I do like they did a comic different from the movie. How do Killer Croc's body parts grow back? Can reptiles actually do that? Yes, Fatal Waffle, some lizards can actually grow new limbs. They can't grow a new head, but they can regrow a tail, a foot, or a leg. If they ever, like, lose, like, one of their limbs, they can regrow it. It does take time, but for Killer Croc, he can, like, regenerate in, like, a week. If his hand gets cut off, he regrows it in, like, a few days. If his legs get cut off, he can regrow them. The only thing he can't regrow is, like, his head or his heart. He is still immortal like the rest of us. But yeah, some reptiles can regrow their limbs. He's played by Joe P. He played Inaki, never watched that, and Garul and Helk. I only know about the anime because Akira kept mentioning it. Yeah, sorry, I have not seen Suicide Squad Isekai. The animation actually looks pretty gorgeous, but never got around to it. DC did a terrible job advertising it. Nice design, but don't know anything about this Croc. Alright, let's knock off. Let's get a bad one out of the way. Dark Tomorrow Killer Croc. Who is our first Croc dung? Remember Dark Tomorrow? Dark Tomorrow was actually supposed to be a loyal, faithful adaptation of the modern Batman comics and be, I kid you not, what was supposed to be the Arkham Asylum back for Batman video games, and it failed. Killer Croc was in this game. This is his design, this weird-looking Cobra thing. He looks like a Goosebumps villain. Killer Croc has one of the worst boss fights in a terrible game. He fights you in a water level, and Killer Croc basically like swims under the water, rises to beat you up, and you hit him when he rises. Yeah, Dark Tomorrow sucks. They advertised it on DC Japan, the YouTube channel. So that's why we Americans didn't see it. Thank you, Tails. I wish our body parts could grow back. Sorry, Fatal Waffle, we have to buy the metal replacement limbs. I prefer the Batman Ninja movie over the Suicide Squad one. Haven't seen the sequel yet, the anime. Okay. I watched a good Suicide Squad movie and reviewed one. Go check that out on my Patreon. Yeah, Dark Tomorrow Killer Croc, like everything else in Dark Tomorrow, he sucks. Even his design looks hideous. They made him look more like a reptilian alien rather than a crocodile man. Yeah, he's our first Croc dung. Okay, speaking of which, let's also knock off Batman Unlimited Killer Croc. John DiMaggio plays Killer Croc, and he's fine. Going on to Beta Beast. Batman Unlimited, I've recently started watching these movies, watched Animal Instinct, and I did finally watch Monster Mayhem, mostly for the Scarecrow, but this Killer Croc, I do like him, he's fine. John DiMaggio plays Croc. They give him a metal jaw, he looks like Trap Jaw, but with Killer Croc. I do like that part of his design, but basically Killer Croc's a big stupid brute and the muscle working for the Penguin. He's a part of Penguin's Animal Squad, gets busted out of prison in the third movie, and helps Penguin with Mr. Freeze's mission, forming the Penguin Gang. Not sure how a crocodile and a penguin work together. I know they're both animal-themed villains, but Croc and Penguin seem like they would not get along together. Yeah, I know he was in the Arkham City, well, he was in the Arkham City level, smoking in the Iceberg Lounge and enjoying his beer, but yeah, this Killer Croc, I think he's pretty fine. He's alright, he's another basic bruiser Killer Croc, likes to fight, works for the Penguin, makes a lot of, oh, he's stupid jokes. Has a really neat design though. I'd probably buy an action figure of this Croc if I were still a kitten, but he's fine, just not the main villain of his movie. Personally, I prefer the cheetah, but yeah, that's just me. Also, Kaiju Killer Croc, also Kemo and Clayface showed up. They did? I did not know that. What is Dark Tomorrow? Believe me, Batkid, you are dodging a bullet. Batman Dark Tomorrow was a video game in the early 2000s, I believe, possibly late 90s, considering the graphics. Batman Dark Tomorrow was a video game that was going to adapt the modern Batman comics and take place in the current events of comics. We would see a lot of characters who weren't previously in Batman media. We saw Tim Drake Robin, Cassandra Cain was Batgirl. We got to see Ra's al Ghul and Talia as the main villains for the first time. We saw Killer Croc, Ratcatcher, the Ventriloquist, and Scarface as video game bosses. It's basically like an early 2000s video game, an action-adventure game where Batman tries to stop Ra's al Ghul's ultimate scheme to destroy Gotham, and he faces a lot of D-list Batman villains who haven't had much of the spotlight. It was a really terrible game, trust me, Batkid. It looked terrible, the voice acting was terrible, and the graphics have not held up, even with the technology we had back then. Like, feels like what calling all creeps be like. I remember them. They were okay movies, pretty nostalgic. I watched it when I was in middle school. Yeah, the Batman Unlimited movies, they're pretty okay. Not the top tier Batman flicks, but they're dumb fun, especially for the kids. I liked Animal Instinct a lot more than Monster Mayhem. Monster Mayhem definitely had fun with Troy Baker's Joker, but they're okay movies. Personally, the Cheetah is my favorite of the Animal Squad, but Killer Croc, he was fine. I have a question. Okay, V Scorpio. WTF is that bird freak with the tongue? Bird freak with... Oh, you mean this one. The Doom that came to Gotham, Killer Croc. Hey, Cat, I'm here now. Hey, Miko, glad you made it. Like in 2003, I was age 1 when this game came out. You dodged a bullet, Akira. Trust me, you didn't miss anything. Also, Ra's al Ghul in the Bat Fam is a ghost, yes. Okay, I mean this thing. This is Killer Croc from the Doom that came to Gotham. This is a Lovecraftian monster version of Croc. Alright, the Doom that came to Gotham is a very peculiar movie, and all of Batman's villains show up as Lovecraftian versions of themselves. Killer Croc is a monster from the basically the dark dimension the Ancient Ones came from. He's a Lovecraftian version of Killer Croc. This Croc is not even a man, he is a full-blown animal. And that helps save them on casting a voice actor and writing him, because this is another stupid brute Killer Croc. The Lovecraftian Killer Croc, I will say, is pretty cool, but he's also going on to Beta Beast. I'll put him before Unlimited Croc. I do like the redesign they gave Croc. Unfortunately, he doesn't talk. He doesn't really have any intelligence. He is Talia al Ghul's monster attack dog. Batman is trying to find out what's going on in Gotham. A lot of peculiar magical events are happening. Batman refuses to believe that there's magic at work, refuses to believe the supernatural. He's tracking down a killer, causing a lot of Lovecraftian conspiracies, and he confronts Talia al Ghul, where Talia reveals that her right-hand man is the Killer Croc. Killer Croc is a Lovecraftian monster of himself, and basically, Talia al Ghul's attack dog. Croc is a full-blown savage monster, and they gave him a pretty gnarly redesign. I like that they gave him kind of an anglerfish type of look. His jaw is like jutting out of his face, and he has like kind of like underground fish eyes, has like those anglerfish. I believe he also grows like an antenna, like a light at the end of his head when he's in the dark. It was a pretty creepy design. I will say this Croc is very gross and otherworldly. This is a full-blown monster Croc, and really all he does is Talia al Ghul's work. He's basically Talia al Ghul's attack dog, does everything Talia says, commands, and protects her and Ra's al Cthulhu. Let's talk about Lego Batman Killer Croc, played by Steve Bloom. We'll get to him. Of all things, this man has witnessed he doesn't believe in magic. Yeah, the Doom that came to Gotham is a really trippy Batman movie, but yeah, Batman doesn't believe in magic. Killer Croc shows up, and basically he's the first clue that, yes, this is real magic. The Ancient Ones are on their way, and Killer Croc is one of their scouts. Killer Croc is like set up to be, oh, this is the monster I've been hunting, this is the killer, this is the guy doing stuff, and no, Killer Croc is actually a servant to the Ancient Ones. He's a scout to the real monsters. He fights Batman in the sewer, gets hit by a train, then he protects Talia al Ghul, acts as basically her bodyguard throughout the movie, is always there by her side, and Batman defeats Killer Croc by mixing chlorine with holy water into holy hand grenades. Yeah, this actually happens. Batman makes a chemical concoction, mixes chlorine with holy water, then douses them on Killer Croc where he dissolves. Killer Croc melts by acid. The holy water dissolves him because he's a demon. And Batman realizes he has a way of defeating these Ancient Ones after all. That's basically Croc's role in the movie. It is pretty interesting seeing a Lovecraftian version of him, but alas, basically he's just a generic attack dog. He's a goon, going on to Beta Beast. Who's your favorite Batgirl as a character concept alone? Betty Kane, Barbara Gordon, Stephanie Brown, or Cassandra Cain? That is difficult. I do love Barbara Gordon. Barbara is a classic. I like the Commissioner's daughter becoming a vigilante, following in Batman's footsteps because Gordon won't let her be a cop. Barbara Gordon, I think, is the more iconic one, though I do like Stephanie Brown. Stephanie Brown's also a lot more cheerful. I like her backstory where she's a daughter of one of the villains of Batman. Stephanie Brown's the daughter of the Clue Master, another puzzler type of villain, and she became the spoiler. Though, Stephanie Brown went through a lot, and I really wish she and Tim Drake would finally tie the knot, but no, DC hates happy couples. Of all the things this man has witnessed, he doesn't believe in magic. That's Batman. Yeah, personally, Barbara Gordon is my top Batgirl, though Stephanie Brown is my second favorite. Like, he is tough. Stupid New 52 retcon why Batman doesn't believe in magic anymore, because he never did. Holy water and chlorine, a vampire's worst nightmare. That kills Lovecraftian Croc. I do like he got an anglerfish for a face. That made him very creepy and stand out. But, alas, he's just a brute. We'll put him onto B tier. Alright, Akira, you want it? Lego Killer Croc. Is this one going to be, yep, our first killer? We got Lego Batman Killer Croc, believe it or not, voiced by Steve Blum, playing Croc for the first time. He did such a good job that Steve Blum would revoice Killer Croc on the Arkhamverse. Yeah, this was the first time Steve Blum played the Crocodile Man. Killer Croc is a part of Penguin's team in Penguin's campaign. Yeah, finally get to talk about Penguin's campaign again. Penguin has his own campaign where he has all the animal villains. Penguin, Catwoman, Killer Croc, Man-Bat, and Bane. I guess Bane is supposed to represent a bear or something, but yeah. Penguin hatches a scheme to take over Gotham with his suicide bomber penguins. Yeah, they're redoing the plot from Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Penguin is going to launch a full-on assault on Gotham with his suicide bomber penguins, and Killer Croc joins the team. Killer Croc has a vehicle boss fight, rides his jet ski, which has a cool design. My brother Wolf had the Lego of Killer Croc too, with the bat boat and Killer Croc's jet ski. You'd think Killer Croc would swim himself, but no, they gave him a cool vehicle to sell more toys. Steve Blum played him, and in his level in the sewer. Same cat, same Tim times Steph forever. Yep, love them. Yeah, it is weird, Akira. So that leaves Penguin and Man-Bat tier list. We also have to do a second Catwoman tier list. Remember, Akira, we have to do Catwoman because she was in Batman Azteca. Please do Arkham Asylum Croc next. Okay, we got like all three of the Arkhamverse Crocs. I don't see why not. Also have the strength and toxic radiation resistance. Yeah, Croc is immune to toxic stuff, radioactivity. He can walk through like green poison areas, can go underwater. He is useful for the water levels. Croc has a very interesting boss fight. Batman and Robin are chasing after the Penguin. Croc stays behind to kill the Dark Knight, fighting them in a weird sewer level connected to like a prison cell. It's a pretty challenging boss fight because Croc is protected by the radioactive toxic waste everywhere. You have to use Batman and Robin's skills, build stuff to beat him. It is a pretty interesting boss fight. Not as challenging as Poison Ivy or Mr. Freeze or the Riddler, but I do have fun with this boss fight. You fight him in a sewer level, stop him from robbing... No, they break into the GCPD to break out Catwoman because Catwoman has the jewel he needs. Akira and I have Lego Batman on the Wii, and we've had for over a decade. It is a classic game. I love it too. Yeah, he's resistant to toxins. He does have the super strength. Killer Croc is one of the tougher characters, so he can use stuff with his muscles to break open stuff. I mean, Killer Croc had his own swamp boat in the Imaginext Batman toy line. That makes sense. And he's the only swimmer character. Yeah, you have to get Deep Diver, Robin, or Dick Grayson to go into underwater sections. Croc can actually do that natural because he's that skilled. Yeah, Lego Batman is fun, and this Killer Croc did a really good job. Steve Blum was apparently so impressive they got him for future Killer Croc stories, and... yeah, Lego Batman, just plain fun. They actually introduced a lot of Batman's obscure foes to new generations. I learned of a lot of Batman's other characters through the Lego game. Did not know who Killer Croc or the Mad Hatter were until I played the Lego game. I did know who Killer Moth was because he was on the Batman. But yeah, this Killer Croc, of course he's going up here. All the Lego Killer characters are really good, like the Lego Batman. The first Lego Batman anyway. The sequel's a bit iffy, but original Killer Croc, he's going on our first killer. Don't worry, he will be upstaged by some other crocodiles on here. Alright, we got all of the Arkhamverse Crocs. I will do Arkham Asylum / Arkham City Killer Croc. We'll put him onto Killer. Yeah, this guy going on to first, already dethroning Lego Croc. Arkham Asylum did a fantastic job bringing in all of Batman's characters and introducing some obscure ones like Killer Croc to new generations. Croc got an excellent makeover. This Killer Croc is scary. Croc is a 20-foot tall, hulking, muscular reptile man, and Steve Blum voices him again, giving him a much more scary voice and persona. Why did Killer Croc eat Aaron Cash's hand in the Arkham games? If you missed it, Fatal Waffle, they mentioned that Aaron Cash called Killer Croc a freak, treated him like an animal. You can catch hints of this in his interview tapes. If you find the interview tapes from therapy sessions, you can find Killer Croc does have tapes, and Aaron Cash treated Croc like an animal and monster, called him a freak. Then, one day when Killer Croc tried to break out, he ate Aaron Cash's hand out of revenge. He tried to kill Aaron Cash altogether. Aaron Cash did lose his hand in the comic Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth. That actually did have the original story, and we got to see how he lost his hand. Here, they do mention it. It's implied that Cash was one of the people who treated Croc like a freak, and Croc pretty much snapped back at him, literally. Took off his hand, ate him. Croc full-blown eats people in the Arkhamverse saga. Yeah, the others kind of implied that he ate people. He uses his Croc jaws to attack people. But here, yeah, he has a body count. Killer Croc killed several people. He's a cannibal serial killer, murdered several innocent people of Gotham, has like a collection of their bones in his lair, lives literally in the sewers. Croc has suffered so much mutation and abuse that he's pretty much abandoned his humanity. Croc has gone completely insane, accepting his role as a animal man, basically, and he has one of the scariest levels in Arkham Asylum, going down underneath the Arkham sewers to collect plant spores for a cure to the Titan, while the plants are in Croc's lair. It's the only place they grow in, and you have to deal with him as a creepy stealth boss fight. Also, this is before Lego Big Figure in the 3D games. Yeah. I remember seeing back when I was little, when Kmart used to be around, and when we got a DVD copy of the Pokemon Heroes. To be honest, I get a lot of Hulk vibes from Killer Croc, but if Hulk was a villain, he would be a Killer Croc. Yeah, but Killer Croc eats people and can swim. I see Edwin Neal play DC Online Croc. Lego Batman 2 to 3, so bad it's funny. Story alone, the gameplay is still good. Yeah, I had fun playing Lego Batman 2. 3, not so much. Had terrible gameplay and a terrible story. Who played Dr. Robotnik in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the 90s version. The OVA one. Sorry, catch up on comments. And Birdcast and Gatchaman, the movie and series. You should do a tier list for the Tales from the Crypt episodes. Alright, so I really like Killer Croc. Killer Croc is so awesome in this game. Pretty much all of Batman's villains had awesome redesigns, character writing, and performances in the Arkhamverse. The Arkhamverse is peak Batman. A lot of great depictions, and Killer Croc was definitely one of them. I know my friend Bodie doesn't like Killer Croc's boss fight. Killer Croc's boss fight is a stealth fight. You go down into the sewers. Killer Croc possibly killed Scarecrow. We know he ate his face off. Scarecrow did survive, but for the longest time, a lot of fans thought Scarecrow was canonly dead. No, he's alive in a post-credit scene. Killer Croc foils Scarecrow's plans, then takes over as the main villain for the game, where you have to go into Croc's lair. And this is pretty scary, pretty eerie, and there's a lot of tension and dread here. Batman goes into Killer Croc's cave, where you have to very silently walk over these very thin floorboards across an entire ocean. There's like a huge river that goes under the asylum, and Croc is swimming under there. He's listening for the Dark Knight like a predator, hunting down Batman, showing up in a lot of jump scares. You can only you can only, like, make Croc fall back. Croc is kind of like a nemesis character. You temporarily stall him. You chuck a batarang at his electro collar. To keep Killer Croc in line, he has an electric collar that zaps him if he's ever dangerous. And Croc is down here. There's no guards. They lost control at this point. Batman throws a batarang at his electric collar. It shocks Killer Croc with painful electricity, causing him to fall back and retreat in the water. To be fair, I have the 3D, 2D version, so the gameplay might be different. Yeah, like, so dark boss fight. Croc has one of the scariest boss fights. Almost as scary as the Scarecrow, if only because it's a much more downplayed, low-key, subtle horror. Croc is like swimming under there. If you run too fast, he catches you. If you don't hit the shot collar on time, he catches you. If you even fall in the water, he drowns you and eats Batman. And Croc has a lot of horrifying game over animations. There's one where he actually holds Batman against the wall and chomps on his face. It is nightmare-inducing. Love this chase sequence. There you are. Rah, jumps up, has like this Jaws music going on. Dun dun. Yeah, a toy collar won't stop me forever. I will hunt you down. Eat your bones. Steve Blum has a very intimidating voice. I almost couldn't tell it was him. They gave him like a lot of reverb and tried to make him sound like cackling, raspy, and growly. This Killer Croc is like a full-blown animal man. My brother Wolf actually had an action figure of this Croc because he was just that cool. Also, Arkham Origins Croc, played by Khary Payton. I know, he gets a new voice actor. Wouldn't Killer Croc eating Scarecrow's face make Jonathan Crane scared of him? Unfortunately, no. Scarecrow got over it. He had, like, years to heal. Also, that music is so intense. It is. The music is very terrifying. Has kind of like a Jaws tune to it. Dun, 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 dun. Has like this very adrenaline rush to it. The Croc boss fight is very creepy. Personally, I prefer the Scarecrow a lot more because the Scarecrow's the master of fear, but Killer Croc is a savage monster in this. Batman basically has to collect a bunch of samples of spores to make a cure for the Titan. Poison Ivy reveals that these spores only grow in Croc's lair. He's collecting them while fighting and avoiding Killer Croc. A lot of chase sequences, but the highlight comes in where Batman has to finally retreat. Killer Croc gives him a final epic chase where you have to time this just right. He's charging at Batman. Batman laid explosive gel on the floor, and you have to explode it to kill Killer Croc. I wonder, are there consequences if you do it earlier before Croc actually reaches it? Most of us have to do it when he's actually standing on it, but I heard some people don't try to do it earlier. Aqualad and Young Justice, I know Khary Payton was in that. So like the Kappa minus the Saw to steal the soul of Japanese mythology. Kind of that kid. He played Black Samson in Invincible Cyborg. In Invincible, Cyborg and Teen Titans. I know Khary Payton from that. Wasabi in Kingdom Hearts 3, and Grimlock in Robots in Disguise. Robots in Disguise is not a good show. I know he was Young Justice Aqualad. Imagine if the character could hear the boss music. How exactly did Scarecrow survive Killer Croc? I always kind of theorize that Killer Croc was mauling Scarecrow, but Scarecrow probably injected him with fear gas. Scarecrow still had his Freddy Krueger syringe claw on him. I presume he like stabbed Killer Croc in like the face, or Croc got a slight dose of fear gas that annoyed him, causing him to release Scarecrow, and Crane somehow managed to swim faster out of there before Croc could eat him again. Hey, I'm here for one of my favorite Batman villains. Made it just in time, Monica. We're talking about Arkham Asylum, Croc. Don't worry, we still have Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight Croc to talk about. Might save those guys for last, though. Plot armor. Yeah, he had plot armor. I was kind of theorized Scarecrow just stabbed him with his Freddy Krueger claw until he let go. But yeah, Croc is eventually defeated. Batman blows the floor from under him. Croc falls to a even deeper sewer level, I guess. No, I will find you. Croc has a lot of creepy jump scare moments, a really nice redesign. I love this look of Croc. This is pretty much the definitive Killer Croc for many. Croc was presumed gone, however he does have one of the post-credit scenes. If you play Arkham Asylum multiple times, you actually get to see there's 3 different post-credit scenes. One where we see a Titan crate floating out in the ocean, where it's grabbed by either Bane, the Scarecrow, or Killer Croc. The one I think is canon is the Scarecrow, because the Scarecrow is the final boss of Arkham Knight, but we do see Killer Croc and Bane are also potentially up there, pretty much confirming that all 3 of these villains survived the events of the game. But yeah, this is an awesome Killer Croc. Also had a very creepy interview tapes where Killer Croc basically accepts himself as a reptile monster. There's an urban legend around him eating people. And as you can tell by playing the game, it is confirmed true. Croc does eat people. He has like a collection of skulls and dead bodies, and tries to eat Batman all throughout the boss fight. Was he voiced by Freddy Krueger? No, he was voiced by Dino Andrada. He was married to the animated series Batgirl voice actress. Not Tara Strong, the first one. Okay, yeah, I thought Dino Andrada did a good job as Scarecrow. He's no John Noble, but Arkham Asylum had a cool Scarecrow. But yeah, Arkham Asylum Croc might be number 1, but we'll see as we talk about the other Arkham Origins Crocs. But we'll do one of the other ones for now. This Croc going on to Killer. Alright, let's knock off Gotham Knights Killer Croc. Oh yeah, remember that Batman anime movie, Batman Gotham Knights? Killer Croc is in it, and you know, I might actually put him on Awesome Alligator. Batman Gotham Knights is an anthology anime Batman movie taking place in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Yes, really, there was a prequel movie set in the Nolanverse. It's an anime anthology movie where we see Batman going on basically shorts and side quest adventures, and one of them has Killer Croc. Yes, Killer Croc is in the Nolanverse. Killer Croc was experimented on by Dr. Crane. Dr. Jonathan Crane was running experiments on Killer Croc apparently ever since he was a baby. We see like a baby Croc, he's trying to like give him like injections, mutagen injections, and Croc became a disgusting reptile monster, and Crane was forced to flush him down into the sewers. We meet Killer Croc in Scarecrow segment. Scarecrow has escaped after the events of Batman Begins, gone undercover, hiding in the sewers, and Killer Croc is basically one of his minions. Scarecrow takes like a cardinal hostage, is executing political prisoners to spread fear, and Killer Croc is his guard dog in the sewers. Batman has to go deep down underground in the sewers where he fights Killer Croc. How do you get each Arkham Asylum post-credit scene? Fatal Waffle, the post-credit scene are randomized. They are completely random. Whatever you get is what you get. There's like nothing that you have to specifically do. Like there's no choices that affect the ending or beating someone up before another character. No. They happen at pure random. They are programmed that way. You basically have to play Arkham Asylum multiple times and they kind of switch them out at sheer random. Sometimes you'll get Bane, second gameplay you'll get Scarecrow, third you'll get Killer Croc, and I guess this happens based on pretty much random. I played the game multiple times and I've gotten all 3 endings, mostly because I just replay Arkham Asylum. Also, is he a cannibal since he was human? Yes, he is, Akira. He's a cannibal. I borrowed it from the library. I like it for nostalgic reasons and the art style. We need to talk about Beware the Batman Croc. We'll do him next, Akira. So Scarecrow is Dr. Frankenstein minus creating the monster from human parts. Yeah. Dr. Crane experimented on Croc while he was at the asylum. Croc was deemed a failed experiment and flushed down the sewers, where he grew into a monstrous crocodile man. So Killer Croc does not talk. He has completely lost his humanity by this point. He is basically a growling, snarling monster. Scarecrow laced the sewer waters with fear toxin, and Killer Croc is now more feral and hostile than before. Croc is turned into Scarecrow's attack dog, guarding the sewers for him. Batman fights Killer Croc. He actually gets bitten by Croc, and that spreads the fear gas into him. Killer Croc is both deranged as an abused animal, and also Scarecrow's fear toxin in the sewers. The fear toxin infected Croc, and Croc's fangs cause, like, infections. He bites Batman, and Batman gets infected by fear gas. Batman is able to defeat Croc by putting, like, a smoke bomb in his mouth, and it scares Croc away. Croc is not actually defeated or arrested. Gotham Knight's Croc kind of retreats. He gets, like, shot by, like, a smoke grenade, has it go off in his mouth, and it scares him into retreating. Croc runs away, with Batman proving to be the more dominant fighter. But yeah, that's kind of the end we see of Croc. I think they were, like, implying that he does exist in the Nolanverse movies. The Dark Knight Rises actually cracks a joke about, oh, let me know if you see any crocodiles in the sewers, teasing that Killer Croc did actually appear in the Nolanverse. But yeah, Croc kind of gets away in the end. He swims away, but he's, like, now completely lost his mind and afraid, and that's kind of the last we ever see of him, because then it turns into Batman fighting the Scarecrow. Imagine if there was a Killer Croc who was part dragon that could breathe fire. That'd be pretty impressive. Did you know Frankenstein's monster is actually called Adam in the book? Yeah, I kind of forget that happens. We always call him the monster or Frankenstein himself, even though Frankenstein's the inventor of the monster. Yeah, I like Croc in this segment. We'll put him onto A tier. He's an awesome alligator. Alright. Akira wants Beware the Batman Killer Croc. Yes, Killer Croc was on Beware the Bat, voiced by Wade Williams, who voiced Black Mask in Under the Red Hood. He gives Croc another Cajun Southerner accent. Killer Croc from Beware the Bat going on to Awesome Alligator. And yeah, I'll put him under Aaron Kincaid's Croc. Okay, so do I have a lot of people who remember Beware the Batman? Beware the Batman was a whole new generation's Batman cartoon. It was an all CGI toon made by the same animation team behind Green Lantern, the animated series. However, they decided to focus on Batman's obscure villains. We did not see a ton of Batman's A-tier monsters or foes. We saw a lot of the obscure characters, like Anarchy was the main villain, Lady Shiva was the main enforcer of the League of Shadows, we saw Cyber, Professor Pig, Mr. Toad, and Killer Croc eventually showed in the second season. Killer Croc, once again, kind of a guy born with a skin condition that turned him into a crocodile man. Killer Croc is actually a gangster, like an enforcer, a brute, a fighter, a hired merc in this show. Croc is actually in Blackgate Prison in this version. And Croc is the prison kingpin. Croc rules Blackgate Prison, he scares all the prisoners, gets whatever he wants, calls like the order around the prison block. Batman gets himself arrested because he needs to find a criminal known as the Key. Batman is trying to find an evil criminal known as the Key. The Key has the ability to unlock anything, including computer files. The Key has upgraded his powers and he can actually hack into supercomputers. Batman needs to capture and bring in the Key himself before any other supervillains get their paws on him. Unfortunately, Croc is trying to make the Key his lackey. Croc has the Key underneath his gang, and to get the Key out of his claws, Batman has to fight Killer Croc and his goons in a prison fight. Croc is undefeated. He is a pro wrestler. He has thick scales that cannot get hurt. Croc can take anything. He can take any hit you throw at him. He can take any stab. He pretty much cannot die through physical fighting. Croc has like hardened scales all over him. Batman throws batarangs at him and they do nothing to him. He is a pro wrestler here. You have to entertain Croc by fighting in the ring. Batman challenges him to get the Key and defeat Killer Croc as prison kingpin. Batman got himself arrested, thrown into Blackgate, and he fights Killer Croc after encountering him multiple times. What kind of a villain name is the Key? Well, believe it or not, Bat Kid, the Key is actually a DC character. The Key had a much cooler design on Justice League Unlimited. You forgot Humpty Dumpty was in Beware the Batman? Yeah, he was. I want the Batman TV show next. After Beware the Bat, Akira wanted him. There was a pig guy. Yeah, Professor Pig. Believe it or not, Professor Pig was one of the cooler villains on this show. Though I think Arkham Knight and Gotham did a great Professor Pig as well. He played Mantis in Batman the Brave and the Bold. I remember him as Black Mask and Under the Red Hood. Like, that could be cool. Yes, I remember. Okay, good, V Scorpio. Glad you remember Beware the Bat. I think Dragon Croc would be a fantasy Elseworld story. That would be pretty cool, but it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, and he was Perry White in Superman Unbound. Okay, the Key. Yeah, the Key is a villain who can unlock things. Like, he's a living key. He can open any door, hack into anything, break any lock. He is basically like a super thief. I did not like his Beware the Batman design. He looked like a Home Depot worker. He looked really weird. But the Key is like Killer Croc's prison bitch, and he's keeping the key to himself. He believes he can use the key to escape Blackgate. Croc has basically an army. All the prison goons and inmates worship Killer Croc, bow before him, and see him as the kingpin of Blackgate. Like, it's weird, like Magpie exists to replace Catwoman. Yeah, they even got Grey DeLisle to voice Magpie, and she sounds so much like Catwoman when she played her. Magpie is like a crazy version of Catwoman. Top 10 worst Batman villains. I have seen a lot of YouTube lists. I do think Crazy Quilt is one of the worst, along with Pennywise. No, not the dancing clown, a villain who's obsessed with pennies. And, oh, I think number 1 would be the Condiment King. Yes, everybody remember the Condiment King? He is easily the biggest joke of Batman. Pig is based on the Greek myth of Pygmalion, same as My Fair Lady, but in totally different ways. Yep. Yeah, worst Batman villain is the Condiment King. He got mustard on your suit. You are too late to catch up, Batman. Wait, Pennywise? Yeah, not the clown Pennywise. This was a villain who was obsessed with pennies to the point where he studied pennies. He was wise and knowledgeable about pennies and tried to kill Batman by crushing him with a giant coin. Yeah, comics are weird. Okay, so, to get back to Beware the Batman's Killer Croc, he rules the prison. Eventually, Batman fights him in a one-on-one fight. Batman realizes that Croc is not as strong as he lets on. Croc has soft spots, has weaknesses in his scales, some parts of him that are still flesh. Killer Croc is not entirely crocodile yet. Batman has to, like, hit his soft spots, his vulnerable areas, to actually get some hits in. He realizes that Croc's weakness is like his belly, his torso. He cannot take punches to the gut, basically, which is really weird because apparently no one tried that. But yeah, Batman fights Croc in a fist fight, punches his soft spots, the soft skin of the crocodile, punches him in the gut, punches him in the chest, actually hurts him, and Croc is completely beaten and humiliated, losing to the Dark Knight. Like, Batman defeats him and gets his paws on the key. Killer Croc is kind of dethroned as prison kingpin from this point onward. But this would not be the last we ever see of Croc. Even though Batman defeated him and outsmarted him, Croc managed to escape prison. He broke out of Blackgate, managed to swim through the sewers, and wants revenge on Batman for ruining his reputation. Batman made him into a laughingstock, a joke, and he wants revenge on the Dark Knight. However, now Croc actually shows his cunning side. This Killer Croc is actually smart. Croc realizes Batman works with a pack. Batman has a team helping him, and Croc tries to divide the team, tries to separate Batman, get him alone, hunts and stalks him like a predator, and is waiting for the right moment to strike and hurt the Dark Knight. He lures away Katana. He tries to kill Barbara Gordon. Barbara is in the show. She becomes Oracle, not Batgirl. Yes, they did get Tara Strong to get her as Batgirl again. And Barbara is Oracle. He realizes Batman is contacting her on the phone. He almost kills Barbara Gordon, hunts her down. She hides from him in like a warehouse, like under a desk. Croc is not as pro a hunter when he's hunting someone with plot armor. Batman fights him again, and this time Batman, like, KOs him by hitting him with a subway train. Yeah, they have like kind of this Mortal Kombat 9 fight in the subway, and Batman stage fatalities him by knocking him into an oncoming train, which KOs Croc. I will say I do like how strong this Croc is, but yeah, Croc is defeated again, his revenge failed, and Batman realizes the importance of teamwork in this episode. Batman is going through his I work alone phase, but accepts Katana and Oracle, and realizes that, yeah, he does need help fighting some foes. This Croc, I think, is pretty underrated, a very interesting character. I would have loved to see more of him, but unfortunately, Beware the Batman didn't do too well, but I'll put him on an A tier. Definitely a Croc who actually had decent character. Well, the Flamingo was the darkest and worst Batman villain. Yeah, especially that design. I remember PBS kids made Chuck the evil sandwich making guy as their own condiment king. Condiment king, eat my relish, kitty cat. Get it because you're a cat and they're afraid of pickles. Did you see what I asked for? Yeah, you said the Batman, Killer Croc. Yeah, the Key is actually a villain. Yeah, that's his villain name. He's called the Key. The Key has the ability to unlock and hack into stuff. No lock can stop him. He's kind of another pro-thief character, but his ability is he can create keys and has a gun key which can shoot people. His design in Beware the Batman was so awful. This Killer Croc, I think he was alright. Looks kind of like his Arkham Origins look, though they gave him too much of a human face rather than a crocodile jaw. Yeah, the Flamingo, he's that weird gay pink Batman villain. He also sucks. Magpie's costume is better in Beware the Batman. Well, that's because it's basically Catwoman. She, like, looks like a more, like, stripper Catwoman, but has, like, claws, like bird talons. Pennies. So he turned a hobby into a supervillain gimmick? Yeah, pennies. Can you do the Batman Killer Croc? Okay, you want him next? Alright, let's do it. Let's do Ron Perlman's Killer Croc. And yes, I do know Ron Perlman did voice this guy because Killer Croc talks like Hellboy. The Batman Croc, who is going on to Killer. Yeah, I'll put him under Arkham Asylum Croc, but above Lego Croc. But does the Key have a real name? Yeah, he does have a name. His name is Lock Smith. Lock Smith. Get it? Get it? Yeah, his first name is Locke, and like L-O-C-H, and his last name is Smith. That's the Key's name, Lock Smith. Okay, anyways, Ron Perlman, Killer Croc. Yeah, this Croc is awesome. Love this redesign. Croc looks more animal than man. They weirdly gave him, like, dreadlocks. Croc wears a black leather Fonzie jacket. Basically a gangster Killer Croc. Killer Croc doesn't show up until Season 2, basically to show Batman that he has much more deadlier villains in Gotham now. Croc forces this group of heist guys to work with him. There's these group of mercs who commit, like, bank burglaries, and Croc coerces them into serving him, forces these professional mercenaries to be his backup, his henchmen, and help him pull the ultimate heist on Gotham, where they will get a ton of treasure in exchange for helping him. Killer Croc is so cool and creepy in this cartoon, has this very disturbing Monster Man look. Ron Perlman voices him, and yes, I do know it's him this time because Croc sounds a lot like Hellboy. Yes, I get it. Locksmith. Okay. The Batman Killer Croc is basically furry Killer Croc. Well, I hear they're called Scalies in the furry community, because I've witnessed girls simping for him. Yeah, Croc looks like this sexy 50s bad boy, but with a crocodile design. Yeah, Croc also has a tail in this cartoon. The first Killer Croc on here who actually has a tail grown on him. Yeah, Croc is basically this professional supervillain. He shows up and can actually take on Batman in a fight. Similar to Beware the Batman Croc, this Croc has very hard and sharp scales. He can take a lot of punches and punishment, but he always shirks it off, can fight the Dark Knight, defeat him, and swims underwater. Croc can actually drown the Batman, swim, and be a very vicious water predator and a vicious wrestler. This Croc is good at wrestling. He does have his Cajun accent. Croc has kind of a southern accent, dearie. Ron Perlman does a pretty good job voicing him. Yeah, Ron Perlman played Killer Croc, aka Slade, Hellboy, and among other characters. He was also in Blade as the racist vampire. Do you blush? I did kind of like that they tried to code Killer Croc as a black guy. I think this Killer Croc actually has dreadlocks at the end of his head. Yeah, Croc has dreadlocks in this cartoon. It is kind of weird, but did make him stand out. Killer Croc's first ultimate plan is to take over Gotham by flooding it. Batman realizes that Killer Croc is going to cause a flood in Gotham, where he will drown entire parts of the city, so it's easier for him and his mercs to swim underwater in buildings to steal treasures without dealing with any of those landlubbers. Also, he hates Killer Moth. He does. Yeah, there's only room in Gotham for one killer, and that's Killer Croc. Yeah, Killer Croc doesn't like Killer Moth because he has killer in his name like he does. Since Croc, there is only one killer in Gotham, and that's me, Killer Croc. And he gets some of Killer Moth's gross insect goo on his claws, wiping it off. Yeah, that was funny. So, Croc is a deadly SOB in his debut episode. Batman actually struggles fighting him. He can't beat him. He can get some punches in, but Croc is always tougher than him, can survive underwater, whereas Batman can't, and plans to murder several billions of people. Yeah, in his ultimate endgame, Croc wants to flood Gotham City, turning it into his own water park. He will make it easier for him to live there and rob a dozen places because no one can survive the great floods of water that are coming. I plan to flood Gotham City, turn it into my own personal swimming hole. But several billions of people will die, and I'll shed a crocodile tear for every one of them. Yeah, Killer Croc is basically a full-blown sociopath, plans to kill several people just to get a ton of treasure and turn Gotham into his water world. Since Killer Croc has been voiced by Steve Blum before, he kind of sounded like Baraka in Mortal Kombat. Also, he joined Team Penguin, he did, with Firefly, Ragdoll, and Killer Moth. Some has a bit of an ego problem. Cough, cough, Killer Croc. Yeah, Baraka Killer Croc is here. Yes, he is. He's down here. Baraka Killer Croc. We'll do him soon. Okay, so Killer Croc almost succeeds in flooding the city. Batman realizes that Croc does have one weakness. He can only breathe underwater temporarily. Croc can only breathe underwater for a few minutes. He is still half human. Batman defeats Croc by basically holding him down underwater. Killer Croc loses his breath and manages to faint underwater because he can't keep it up. He can only breathe temporarily in the water because he is still human at this point. Batman defeats him and manages to reverse the flood water by reactivating the floodgates in the dam, and everything is safe again. Croc and his gang are arrested, and Batman realizes he can adapt to fight his enemies. So, I do love that they hint at several Killer Croc origins. Batman, captures and interrogates one of the mercs, and he says, multiple stories for Killer Croc. Some say he was a circus freak who ran away from an abusive circus. Some say he was a government experiment, genetically engineered to be the perfect super soldier. And some say he was actually born with his genetic skin disease, lived underground like some pariah. There's no one story behind Killer Croc. It is kind of a funny take that at how they don't really do origin stories on the Batman because all of Batman's villains have multiple different pasts. Like, no Australian Killer Croc, that sounds like gummy goo. Sadly, no. And he's weak with ice. Do you think that the Batman TV is a parallel timeline to Teen Titans, a TV show? I did, but they confirmed that no, they do not share the same universe because Batgirl hints that she's making the Teen Titans with Robin. Also, Killer Moth has a completely different redesign. Okay, so after his first episode, Croc would kind of be a brute character serving other villains. He joins Team Penguin, he joins Wrath and Scorn's villain alliance, he joins several other villains. He's one of the foes hunted down by Rumor. Rumor is kind of the stand-in for Prometheus and Hush, taking up all of Batman's villains, and we get to see every villain from the series together on screen, including Ron Perlman's Croc. Yeah, Croc is like the opening victim of the Rumor episode. He beats him and his goons, and Croc actually can't defeat Rumor. It shows how strong Rumor is. Rumor is pretty much the stand-in for Prometheus and Hush. Basically, this villain getting all of Batman's villains together for a grand execution and revenge against the Dark Knight. Also, it's weird, the Scooby Gang never met Killer Croc. Technically, yeah, they don't. He was in the Brave and the Bold Scooby crossover, but never met Scooby in the gang. Has Killer Croc ever once turned completely human again, even if temporary? Actually, no, that has not happened. We've seen what he looked like when he was human, but no. Usually his skin condition was always permanent. It would be interesting to see a Croc actually reforming and becoming human again, but tragically, has not happened. Okay, so yeah, Croc kind of became a background character. He joined Team Penguin. I do like that he doesn't like Killer Moth because they both have killer in the names. There's only room in Gotham for one killer villain. He doesn't like Killer Moth at first, joins with Penguin. I do like that he has like all these black guy stereotypes, always saying y'all and some jibe. Nah, the Batman don't go down so easily. He's jealous of Killer Moth and believes that Penguin's alliance will fall apart. He's on board with it at first, but believes that this is all gonna end up with us doing something for some stupid bird gimmick, and he was right. Penguin wanted to steal a valuable golden egg, and all the villains were on board with it until they found out it's for his stupid bird theme. That's pretty funny, but Killer Moth turns into a giant moth mutant and scares all the villains into staying on board their alliance. Killer Croc is in the final fight, and he's always defeated with ice pellets. Yeah, Killer Croc's always swimming, gets frozen by ice, and usually taken out by the cold because of his blood. Like Croc is a mama's boy in the comics like Jason Voorhees. His mom treated him with more respect than his aunt. That's why I said parallel, not the same, like they are mostly the same, except for certain details like Teen Titans' origins and Killer Moth's mutation. Yeah, but I don't believe they take place in the same universe anymore. Like, weird, and more. Maybe if the Scooby Gang met Killer Croc would make them his personal Scooby snacks, if you know what I mean. Like, I read that one. And I used to eat those Scooby-Doo graham crackers when I was little at school. We all did. Yeah, they were stealing like a golden penguin. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, they wanted to steal a stupid bird-themed theme, and the villain alliance almost quits, but Killer Moth scares them into helping, and they eventually get defeated when the Bat family finally work together. Last time we ever see Killer Croc, he joins Wrath and Scorn's villain alliance. Wrath and Scorn are kind of the evil Batman and Robin, and they protect criminals from the cops and Batman. They want to destroy the Dark Knight and form a villain alliance of their own, and Killer Croc's there. He's in the background. He helps them. He's completely on board supporting Wrath and Scorn because they defend him, but it's more so a Wrath and Scorn episode. I did find this episode very interesting. I like that there's an evil Batman and Robin. This was actually a pretty fun episode, but Croc is kind of a side character, doesn't do anything, and tragically that was the last we ever saw of this Killer Croc. But I will put him onto Killer. I like his design, I like his personality, I like Ron Perlman's performance. Hope Ron Perlman voices Croc again. This is definitely an S-tier Croc. He is going up on S-tier. So we need a live-action Killer Croc out of the way. Yeah, we do. Alright, I gotta use my first restroom break, but tell me which Croc you guys want to see next. We got plenty to work with. Tell me who in the comments section. I'll be right back. Want a live action, a cartoon, or a game Croc? Let me know down low. BRB. There you are. Roar. Catastrophe's back. What'd you guys vote for? Checking low. Arkham Origins Killer Croc, Baraka, or Supergirl's Croc? Live action Croc. Did you know in the comic pre-retcon, Jason Todd was the happy Robin and Dick Grayson was the original angry Robin? Yeah, I did not know that. Even try Scooby-Doo gummy when I was little. Okay, got a lot of Crocs on the board. I guess we'll do DC Superhero Girls Croc, who is another beta beast. Yeah, this Croc is fine. You know, put him under the animated series Croc. This is DC Superhero Girls Killer Croc. But wait, Cat, why doesn't he look like he fits Lauren Faust's animation? That's because he's not from the Lauren Faust Supergirls. He's from the Mattel Supergirls, the first one. The Generation 1 Superhero Girls. The Superhero High School. Killer Croc basically shows up as the first boss fight. He's the first guy the Supergirls are fighting. He's an opening villain, basically a mindless brute that the girls are practicing their skills on. We get introduced to all the different Superhero High castmates while they're fighting Killer Croc. Croc is voiced by Fred Tatasciore, using his Incredible Hulk voice. Yeah, Croc is, once again, like the Hulk here. This Croc doesn't get much of a character backstory. He's basically a side villain. He's the opening fight. That's really all there is to him. Kind of generic, but I do like his design. They made him look like his Arkham Origins counterpart, but gave him kind of a dinosaur head. I do actually like the Mattel Superhero Girls. I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty cute. I like the idea of all the superhero girls going to high school, but the big reason why he loses points is Croc ends up defeated by Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Yeah, in a peculiar move, Harley and Ivy are actually heroes in this cartoon, and I call complete BS that Harley Quinn can fight Killer Croc. Yeah, no, Harley Quinn is fighting with her hand-to-hand combat against Killer Croc. Though she does have help, there's also Wonder Woman, Beast Boy, Bumblebee are there, and Cheetah is there, but she's kind of lazing about, and Harley and Ivy are also in the fight. This is Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy versions of Harley and Ivy. Harley Quinn actually stands a chance fighting against Killer Croc, whereas Wonder Woman was struggling to fight him. Yeah, Fred Tatasciore played him, who was also Devil Dinosaur, among other things. I also meant to say Fruit Snack. I vote for the Batman Croc. We did do Ron Perlman's Killer Croc, the 2000s Batman. He's up here in S tier. I remember those, though they didn't taste good. Yeah, the Scooby Fruit Gushers were awful. I grew to hate them. Why is he in frickin' Metropolis? Because pretty much everyone is in Metropolis. Even Green Lantern and the space characters are also in Metropolis. Starfire and Raven are there in Superhero High too. Which made it very confusing because a lot of the adult heroes and the Teen Titans characters or teenage young superheroes are here too. Like, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy are in Superhero High, but so are Wonder Woman, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and Katana, who are all grown-ass adults. Wait, wasn't there a female version of Clayface in Superhero Girls? There might have been. I haven't seen them all. Also, Star Sapphire faced Killer Croc. Well, Star Sapphire can actually take him on in a fight. Then I changed my vote, Lego minifigure size Killer Croc. Like, is it better? Okay, so, it is a flawed cartoon. I do like parts of it. The problem was, it was kind of bland, very boring and shallow. A basic high school wacky cartoon, but had superhero characters in the backdrop. It was basically we were following superhero girls, introducing these characters to younger audiences, namely little girls who weren't familiar with superheroes. They had all the main supergirls as the stars: Wonder Woman, Batgirl, Supergirl, Bumblebee, and they kind of threw in Harley and Ivy. Harley and Ivy were heroes in the show, and yeah, I did not like that either. Harley and Ivy do not belong as superheroes or even anti-heroes, but no, they're a part of them because basically Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy were Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. Poison Ivy was shy, antisocial, and quiet, loved plants and caring about nature, whereas Harley Quinn was just Pinkie Pie because she's the hyperactive crazy one. Do you have Killer Croc in the Harley Quinn show? Yeah, he's down here. Like, this looks cool. Alright, to wrap up, this Killer Croc, he's fine. Basically a buff guy that the girls fight and defeat. He hilariously has allergies to Poison Ivy's plants. They beat him, tie him up. He fights the Supergirls from time to time. Basically an obstacle for the real characters to fight. Going on to Beta Beast. Yes, we do have Harley Quinn's Killer Croc. He's also on here too. Yeah, he looks exactly like the Superhero Girls Croc. This one also going on to Beta Beast. Alright, so the Harley Quinn show, I did like at first, then as it went on, it kind of got worse. Killer Croc is there. He's basically a background in the first 2 seasons. We officially meet him. He's like hanging out with the Legion of Doom. He's a well-respected supervillain. Then he somehow makes his way inside of Bane's prison. Yeah, Bane has Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn thrown into the pit, and Killer Croc's there, where he's trying to express himself creatively. He's like making paintings, getting in touch with his artsy side. He's like a model prisoner, but sometimes has rage problems. Killer Croc would return in a later season, becoming a primary member of the Suicide Squad, and Killer Croc is apparently dating the Enchantress. Yeah, Killer Croc and the Enchantress are banging and dating. Let that thought haunt your nightmares. I do not know why people keep trying to ship human women with Killer Croc, but yeah, it is kind of funny because of how absurd it is. Killer Croc's in the Suicide Squad. He made it up to the A-Team, and he's in a kind relationship with the Enchantress. If it bleeds, it can die. That includes Killer Croc. That's why the strongest eventually loses. Like, this looks cool. So, okay, Damian Wayne is the Robin in the Mattel DC Superhero Girls show. And Starfire is a teenager. That means Nightwing must exist somewhere. So where is he? They didn't want to use him because they wanted to focus more on the girl characters. Matt Oberg is the voice actor known for voicing Kite Man, Killer Croc, and KG Beast. Oh, really? Kite Man also voices Croc. I did not recognize him. Like, so funny. Ew. Yeah, Killer Croc and the Enchantress are dating and banging. I feel uncomfortable in all my body right now. Did you know the second Robin of Batman Unlimited show is Damian Wayne? I thought it was Tim Drake because he's wearing the Red Robin outfit. Like female Cottonmouth times Killer Croc is better. Well, I would assume Killer Croc would hook up with another monster girl, but no, he's dating human women in this show. Killer Croc is kind of a side character. He's there for comic relief. Once again, stupid character. Always the butt of the joke. I think he has funny moments, but honestly, he's underutilized. I'm gonna put him onto Beta Beast. Okay. Akira, you wanted Baraka. Yeah, this is Baraka from Mortal Kombat with a Killer Croc skin. To make a long story short, MK11 had a DC skin pack where you could design some characters to look like famous Batman characters. This came packed with the Joker DLC. I love Katana as Catwoman. That is perfect in my ultimate fantasy. Baraka has a Killer Croc skin, and we love Baraka. He's going on to Killer. Apparently Enchantress is into furries. I saw comics of her and Killer Croc together. Like, why that? Can we move on to the Lego minifigure size Killer Croc? We'll do that one after. Like, it's cool, but didn't bring him as DLC. So, technically, this isn't Killer Croc. This is Baraka from Mortal Kombat, but he has a Killer Croc skin. He looks like the Suicide Squad Killer Croc, but I think Baraka makes it look good because his jaw actually works it well. Yeah, Baraka is awesome. We love you, Baraka. Like Katana as Catwoman, this is perfect skin casting. We'll put him low on S tier. He's going on to Killer. Baraka Fatality. Okay, somebody wanted one of the Lego Crocs. We'll do, I believe this is Lego Batman 2 Killer Croc. Like his design, but not much character. Nevertheless, we'll put him onto Awesome Alligator. This is the second design Lego Killer Croc, where he looks much like a Hulk. They upgraded his Lego minifigure. Now he's a much buffer, more jacked Killer Croc, looking like his Arkham Asylum counterpart, rather than his original counterpart who used the base Lego body form. Yeah, this Killer Croc is cool. Not really a part of the story. He's a side mission. You do the side mission to unlock most of the characters, and you can unlock Killer Croc like fighting him in a water level or something. Yeah, I think he's cool. That's really all I have to say. He's cool. He's an additional character you can play as throughout Lego Batman 2's campaign. Not a vital character to the plot, but it's fun having him, and I love his upgraded design. Has the same abilities and stuff he had from the first game. Since Killer Croc and Baraka have been voiced by the same person, it fits. Yeah, Steve Bloom is Baraka and Killer Croc. Baraka is like Killer Croc in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, until MK1 retconned his story. Isn't Reptile like Killer Croc? Well, Saga, I'm not the one who made Baraka the Killer Croc skin. Take it up with NetherRealm Studios when they're not screwing up. Lego Batman 3 Killer Croc, not second Batman game. Okay, that is Lego Batman 3 Croc. Okay. Okay, I think this might be the second Croc. Not a big fan of this Lego design. He's also going on to Beta Beast. Yeah, this Croc, not really a big fan of this. He looks like the Abomination more than he does Killer Croc. It's a fine redesign. Croc doesn't have that much importance in the story. I do believe this is the same Croc they use in Lego DC Supervillains. I still haven't played that. I know I have to play Lego DC Supervillains. It is an underrated Lego game. Look, I'm waiting for a huge price drop to happen, okay? It is still expensive on the digital store. Haven't played it, but I think this Croc is another average one. Since I played the third Lego Batman game, Lego Batman 3 Croc, not the second one, my mistake. Is Lego Batman movie Croc in this? Yeah, he's down here too. Here's Lego Batman the movie Killer Croc, where he actually has a crocodile head. And I do like this design too, but also going on to low Awesome Alligator. Croc has some funny lines in the movie, but that's really about it. Okay, so guys, most of the villains in the Lego Batman movie do not really get much screen time. The Joker and Harley Quinn are the only important Batman foes. The Joker assembles a team of every Batman villain ever, and we get to see all your favorite villains. We see the Scarecrow, Bane, Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz hilariously plays Catwoman, Penguin, Two-Face, Condiment King, and Killer Croc. I do like Killer Croc's design in this because he actually looks like a crocodile man. They gave him an actual Lego crocodile head. It is a pretty good design. And I believe he had like this soft-spoken voice, like, "I will destroy you, Dark Knight." Pretty funny. Yeah, he drives a monster truck. More like the Obama Killer Croc. The Lego Batman 2 Croc is just the first Lego Batman design. Okay, my mistake. Also, it shows 1966 Batman villains. Yeah, Egghead is there. I think Shane is also on there. And yeah, a lot of the 60s characters are there too. Even Alfred dresses up like Adam West Batman, which is hilarious. Yeah, Croc has some funny moments. He's there in the villain attack, then he gets trapped in the Joker's box, until he's released at the end of the movie where the villains team up with Batman to save Lego World. And yeah, you get to see all your villains come back, have some funny moments. This Croc, pretty alright. He's going on to low A tier, but he's funny. He is really funny. I'll put him on to Awesome Alligator. Next we'll bump off Tomorrowverse Killer Croc, who is our first Croc Chow. Yeah, the Tomorrowverse animation, it is not good. It looks very bland, stilted, and this Croc basically does nothing. He's a cameo. He shows up in one of the Crisis on Infinite Earths movies, where he helps the Joker destroy one of their towers, keeping their Earth safe and out of the Anti-Monitor's vision. Yeah, the Joker shows up with his own gang. He has Solomon Grundy, Poison Ivy, and Killer Croc is there. Spoilers, he does not talk. He's basically a big dumb brute the heroes fight, and we get to see the Bat family stop the Joker from destroying their dimensional tower that will take them out of their safety net away from the Anti-Monitor. Yeah, Croc barely does anything. I do not even like this design. Looks a lot more generic, especially compared to his animated series look. This is our first Croc Chow. Yeah, basically, he's a mindless brute the heroes fight in a brief intro, and that's pretty much Tomorrowverse's Croc entire purpose. Yeah, basically just a cameo. He's Croc Chow. King Tut. Even Victor Zsasz? He might appear in the background, but they don't name him. They kind of circle around referencing him. I doubt he's anyone's favorite, but still, well, you have to go quickly to see you later. See you later, cat. Bye. Bye, Kira. Bye, Bat Kid. Alright, I don't recognize this Killer Croc. I'm looking at my list here. Yeah, I don't recognize this one. We'll have to put him on to Croc-a-Who? But speaking of video games, let's do Injustice Killer Croc. Killer Croc shows up for a cameo in the Injustice games, and he's just a stage transition cameo. Yeah, I do like that he's pretty funny. I'll put him on to Beta Beast. In Injustice, Croc only shows up in basically stage transitions. In the Arkham Asylum level, if you knock someone into a stage transition, Croc is like standing in a room with the Penguin, the Riddler, and Two-Face, and your character bumps into Killer Croc. Killer Croc bashes him, all the villains like gang up on this person in the transition room, and Croc punches them into the next level of Arkham Asylum. It's pretty funny, but he's also in a Gotham City level. If you transition another person, they go through the sewers, where Killer Croc shows up, beats them up, and throws them into the next room. Yeah, it's a pretty funny cameo, but that's about it. It's a glorified cameo. Nevertheless, pretty fun one. We'll put him straight on the middle, Beta Beast. Speaking of Injustice, we do have Injustice Killer Croc. Yeah, the Injustice movie had Killer Croc. Killer Croc is on the infamous Strikers Island prison break. He shows up, breaking out of his cell, and gets beat up by Superman. Yeah, this one, going on to Croc Chow. Pretty lowly, too. Yeah, he's better than the Tomorrowverse Croc. Yeah, he shows up in the Injustice movie, and once again, basically a brute that the heroes fight. They beat him up. He fights Superman, which is kind of cool, especially seeing Croc and Superman in the same frame, but yeah, it's just a cameo. Putting him on to Croc Chow. He's there, gets beat up, and that's the end of him. Also gonna knock off Cape Crusader Killer Croc, who is also Croc Chow. Yeah, I got more bad Crocs. Killer Croc is in the Cape Crusader show on HBO, and basically he's a cameo. He's a part of this circus, he's a freak show exhibit, and that's his only appearance. He fights Batman once, but Croc isn't even the main villain of this episode. Batman is finding this corrupt circus ringleader and finds out that the little girl in the freak show is the true villain. Croc is there in the background, and I'm not a fan of his design here. I'm very sick of the wife-beater look of Killer Croc. I'm back, was eating and doing errands. How much we got left? We're on the final string. Still got a few, Shadowlink. You missed us talk about Injustice Killer Croc. Knocked off some you probably don't know. Wrapping up with Cape Crusader Croc, who I thought was very generic. He shows up for a cameo, fights Batman once, and that's kind of the end of him. I think you also missed us talk about Ron Perlman's Killer Croc from the Batman. He made it onto S tier. Broken record, but once again, stick with the Injustice games. Yeah, Croc appeared in Injustice. I gave his stage transition version a B, since he's actually pretty funny. Yeah, so far only one bad Killer Croc. Still got quite a few to go through. You missed us talk about Ron Perlman's underrated Killer Croc, Shadowlink. He made it up here, along with Baraka from Mortal Kombat. Yes, Baraka had a Killer Croc skin, and exactly like Katana's Catwoman, it is perfectly fitting. Who doesn't love Baraka? Oh, and we also knocked off Tomorrow vs. Croc, who was a big fat nothing burger. Please do Arkham Origins Croc next. Okay, we'll knock him off. Alright, we'll do Arkham Origins Croc. Don't worry, we still have Arkham Knight Croc, so we'll end on a high note. Arkham Origins Croc, played by Carrie Payton this time. I have no idea why, considering Steve Bloom was in the game. He plays Ricky Loose Lips and other henchmen, but Carrie Payton takes over as a young Killer Croc, and sorry he's going on to Awesome Alligator. I'm gonna put him under Beware the Batman's Croc, because that Croc actually had character. Yes, Killer Croc carries on his tradition of appearing in every Arkhamverse title, and he's the warm-up boss. Killer Croc is your first boss fight. Croc is one of the 8 assassins hired to assassinate the Dark Knight. We see him backing up Black Mask, who is really the Joker in disguise, but we don't know that yet. Black Mask leads an assault on Blackgate, with Killer Croc as his unstoppable juggernaut. Croc pretty much wrecks Blackgate in the opening. We see him like killing a guy, like biting someone and throwing him off like a balcony with his jaw. Croc does have his badass moments here, but I'm not a fan of this redesign. This is Croc suffering the early symptoms of his mutation. Croc is not the same beast he is in Arkham Asylum yet. I will say it is fascinating how we get to see Croc in different phases of his mutation. And since this is a prequel, Origins Croc hasn't fully turned into the feral monster we see here in Asylum. Oh, Ron Perlman's Killer Croc was great. Yep, he was killer. So far he's in second place, but he made it to S tier. Loved him. Oh yeah, I forgot today I posted a Zordoween Artathon month post day 18, which is the Samurai Megazord from Power Rangers Samurai. Yeah, not a fan of Samurai. And today's artwork was Snake and Spider Stew by Tamarin Frog. The artwork shows Lock, Shock, Barrel, and Oogie Boogie making a special batch of Snake and Spider Stew. Cool. A not bad intro boss, but that's all Croc was there for in Origins. There's way better bosses in the game, absolutely. I will say, the one part of Croc's boss fight I like is when he throws Batman to the ground and tries to bite his face with his jaws. That is a very creepy image. I love that part of his boss fight. Croc is basically a tougher beat-em-up opponent. He leads the siege on Blackgate, but just as they're about to get away, Croc stays behind to fight Batman, because he wants to collect the bounty on Batman's head. Croc is the first of the 8 assassins you fight, and he is kind of an easy boss fight. Basically, it shows you the combat of the Arkhamverse saga. You fight him as a traditional beat-em-up, but Croc takes a lot of damage. I love when he throws Batman to the ground and tries to bite off his face, and you get a creepy close-up of him getting closer with each bite, going, "Argh, argh," almost biting off Batman. If you don't press the button mash on time, he does bite Batman's arm and throws you against the wall. That part is easily the creepiest Croc ever gets. This Croc, kind of alright. Carrie Payton does a decent job. Not sure why they didn't get Steve Bloom to voice him, because Bloom is in the game. He is Ricky Loose Lips and the Electrocutioner, but ironically not his most famous role, Killer Croc. Yeah, I love him almost biting off Batman's face. That is the creepiest part of Killer Croc. Unfortunately, Croc is a one and done boss fight. You beat him up, Batman interrogates him. In a really cool cinematic scene, Croc is the one who reveals that assassins are after Batman. Wait until Black Mask's assassins get through with you. What assassins? Whoever's gonna kill you will be famous and rich. At least they won't be ugly. And Batman, pretty strong, he lifts Croc off of a falling gate. He defeats Croc and Croc is in prison, makes a few cameos in the prison. He jumps Batman, and pretty much the biggest reason I don't like Arkham Origins Croc, he tries to get a rematch with Batman, but a sniper accidentally wings him, and Croc gives up and runs away. Yeah, that's why, especially why he's on one tier lower. I know the Arkhamverse Croc as a whole is S tier, but Arkham Origins Croc pretty much pusses out and runs away. Screw this, you want the Joker? Take him. And he runs away, and then we see he was arrested off screen. In the closing epilogue, we see all the Blackgate prisoners are rounded up, and Croc is there standing next to Slade and some goons, and yeah, Croc is arrested and will eventually go crazier in Arkham Asylum. And tomorrow will be the Gosei Great Megazord from Megaforce. Oof. Good luck getting an audience for that saga. How does Killer Croc keep knowing exactly what Batman's scent smells like? Thought I caught your scent. Yeah, Croc can sniff out Batman. I presume Killer Croc was hunting Batman at the start. He sensed him somewhere, and he did say, I thought I caught your scent, making you realize this is the first time they're fighting. So Kari Payton doesn't do bad as Killer Croc, but Arkham Origins / Arkham Shadows Killer Croc, he's alright. Not a big fan of this design. They gave him kind of a human face on a reptile body, and it looks really off-putting. His boss fight is okay, but there are way superior boss fights. As Shadowlink points out, Arkham Origins has some of the best boss fights in the series, and Croc is basically your warm-up fight. Yeah, he caught Batman's scent. Yeah, Arkham Origins / Arkham Shadows Croc. He makes a cameo in Arkham Shadows. Still arrested in Blackgate. He's going on to Awesome Alligator. Alright, let's knock off another bad one. Let's do the CW's Batwoman Killer Croc. Who is going on to Crocdung? Yes, remember the CW had a Batwoman show? Of course, the Batwoman show was so good, it fought for women's rights and saved lives. And failed after 3 seasons because nobody watched it. Yeah, Killer Croc was quote-unquote technically in the show. This Croc is not actually Killer Croc. So, yeah, there's gonna be some backstory explaining Killer Croc is in the CW's Batwoman. We find out that most of Batman's villains have been arrested and are in prison, and Batwoman is fighting legacy versions of Batman's iconic foes. Yeah, these aren't even Batman's villains, they're people carrying on the legacy of iconic Gotham City rogues. Barf. The makeup does look decent, but this is not Croc. This is, I kid you not, a teenage gangster named Steven. Killer Croc is a high school douche bro who got bitten by the real Killer Croc and became a were-Croc. Okay, so to make a long story short, a series of events happens where this kid finds Killer Croc's tooth, accidentally cuts himself on it, and Killer Croc's bites spread the mutation like vampirism, causing him to mutate into a Killer Croc. This teenage Killer Croc carries up Killer Croc's mantle for him and tries to become the new generation's Croc fighting Batwoman. He's a toxic high school douche bro who is hurting people with his Killer Croc powers. Yeah, this isn't even Waylon Jones. It's a teenage fanboy who accidentally gets cut by Killer Croc's tooth. He found the tooth in the sewers, then got mutated by a Killer Croc bite, turning him into a were-Killer Croc. Yeah, it's stupid. He's going on to F tier because, like everything in the CW's Batwoman, it is Crocdung. How I remember seeing the horrible Flash show and Green Arrow when I was little. I used to love Arrow and the Flash. They were good shows at the start, and both of them in their third season completely lost their way. And by season 4, they became completely unwatchable. Arrow almost got better after the Prometheus season 5. Then season 6 pretty much shat the bed. The Flash was actually pretty good for the first 2 seasons. Then the Savitar season happened, and I gave up after the Thinker season. Season 4 was a train wreck, and I was glad I did not return because it got worse. Especially special mention going to Godspeed. Say what you want about the Arrowverse shows, at least they had some good and positives to them. Yeah, CW's Batwoman has none. Light Jones, hey cat. Hey Light Jones, glad you made it. Glad you showed up. Got a few Killer Crocs left, so don't worry. Yeah, CW Batwoman Killer Croc. Is anyone surprised? It is going on to F tier. So bad, it's not even Waylon Jones' Killer Croc. That's how badly they fumbled the bed. Okay, next we'll do Brave and the Bold Killer Croc. Yes, Killer Croc finally shows up on Batman the Brave and the Bold, and he's also going on to Beta Beast. Yeah, once again, Croc is just a dumb brute strongman fighting Batman with sheer brute force, basically. Killer Croc is voiced by Stephen Root, of all people, and he pretty much barely does anything. Croc doesn't even show up until the final season. Yeah, that's how underutilized Killer Croc was on Brave and the Bold. Batman the Brave and the Bold is a great show, but we never see Killer Croc until the last season. Batman suffers a horrible injury and is on bed rest. He needs to heal, and he needs someone to protect Gotham, where all the Justice League team members decide to pose as Batman and protect Gotham for him. Like we see Green Arrow, Aquaman, Plastic Man, and Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, all pose as Batman, and Shazam Batman fights Killer Croc. Killer Croc teams up with all of Batman's strong opponents. Killer Croc is there with Solomon Grundy, Blockbuster, and Bane, and they're trying to steal a giant gold statue. We finally see Killer Croc, and he's taking charge of the Brute Force gang, and Shazam Batman shows up and hilariously beats him with his super strength. Then he makes a cameo in Scooby-Doo meets Batman the Brave and the Bold, where he's taken out by Batman's makeshift Justice League. Yeah, it's pretty much just a cameo. I'm not a big fan of the design either. They tried to combine the Batman look with his Arkham Origins design, and it does not look good. He looks more like an orc than a crocodile. Yeah, he's going on to Beta Beast. I think this Killer Croc is Russian in this. At least I seen Lost in Space, Star Trek, 60s Batman when I was little, along with Cubo and PBS Kids. I do admit that Arrow and Flash had an identity crisis in the later seasons, despite having such legendary first seasons. Fully agree. The Arrowverse was good at the start, but they completely lost their way, and it got so much worse. Personally, I blame the pandering. They tried to pander to people, tried to have a lot of wokeness, PC stuff. Hashtag feminism was actually a phrase they uttered. They tried to have a lot of diverse superheroes. It wasn't a problem, but the problem was the writing was complete garbage. That's why people complain about woke stuff, because the writing sucks. The writing is not as good as when it started. They should have focused on making a good show rather than pandering to people. I think this Killer Croc is Russian. You didn't miss much. Season 7 of The Flash was speed diarrhea dung, and 8 was half good, half bad season. Season 9 only had two good episodes, while the rest was trash. Yeah, I am very glad I didn't finish The Flash. Yeah, I stopped at season 4 because the Thinker's plot was so stupid. The Thinker wanted to use satellites to make everyone retarded so he could be the smartest man on Earth and re-educate them and worship him as their intellectual god. Yeah, the stupidity of that speaks for itself. Anyways, Brave and the Bold Killer Croc. Yeah, he's a beta beast. Kind of barely a character. Speaking of which, let's also knock off Suicide Squad Killer Croc, who, surprise, going on to Croc Dung. The best thing I can say about Suicide Squad Killer Croc is Yes, the makeup looks good. It is nice practical effects. He does look like Arkham Origins Killer Croc. Yeah, anybody remember the 2016 Suicide Squad movie, the Margot Robbie and Will Smith movie? Killer Croc was a part of the squad. And he kind of just lingers in the background. I swear, Croc barely did anything in this movie, and I totally forgot he was even in it until I got this tier list. We're saving Arkham Knight Croc for last. Yeah, sorry, I want to end on a high note. Wasn't the Clue Master that fat guy who got angry at the host of a game show for making him lose? Yeah, that was an episode in The Batman. Pretty funny one. Not one of my favorites, but I thought it was an interesting depiction of the character. Of course it is. We all know which tier the Suicide Squad Killer Croc is going on. Yeah, he's on Croc Dung. Okay, yes, the makeup and effects for him look good. The problem is, the writing sucks. This is not a good depiction of Killer Croc. Croc is recruited for the Suicide Squad, and he kind of acts as the stand-in for King Shark. Yeah, he reminded me a lot of King Shark from Assault on Arkham. Assault on Arkham is the best Suicide Squad movie, and I mentioned that in my review. But yeah, he's kind of just King Shark. He's a big stupid brute, says stupid things. The guy playing him honestly doesn't do a really good job. He just says really dumb and random stuff. The one scene I remember with him is when they're all hanging out in the bar and all the villains are depressed and butthurt because they failed, and Harley Quinn says, "We're all bad guys, we're all ugly on the inside." Except for him. He's ugly on the inside and outside. "Not me, shorty. I'm beautiful." Yeah, you are. And that moment made me cringe. Yeah, it wasn't funny, it wasn't interesting, and it wasn't even a bonding moment. I'm so confused if Harley Quinn was complimenting him or insulting him in like a backhanded way. Yeah, Croc is pretty much a non-character in this. He has one fight underwater, helps them in the mission and infiltrate the Enchantress's makeshift temple, and that's kind of it. He's just standing there in the background. Margot Robbie and Will Smith are pretty much the true main characters of this film. Croc saves the day, defeats the Enchantress with the team, mostly Harley Quinn doing all the work. And he gets one benefit for helping on the suicide mission. Amanda Waller gives him better prison lifestyle, better arrangements. He now lives in a much better prison cell, I guess, back at Arkham. Yeah, Killer Croc sucks in this movie. He is a joke. He is pathetic, and honestly, Killer Croc could have been written out of this movie entirely, and it would have played out the exact same way. Half the Suicide Squad characters in the movie are pointless, and Killer Croc is one of them. Killer Croc was only included so they could win an Oscar for Best Makeup and Effects. Yeah, Rob Walker was even a better Killer Croc in the Suicide Squad review. "I'm a dinosaur." Yeah, it was funny. Just about everybody barely noticed them. Yeah, personally, I wish Katana was an important character. Katana was my favorite squad mate there. But yeah, Croc barely did anything. Doug Walker appropriately used his brother Rob. "I'm a dinosaur." King Shark from Assault on Arkham had so much personality, it was so sad when he died. Yeah, I mentioned that in the review. King Shark was much better, John DiMaggio was more hilarious. Killer Croc was supposed to be kind of this King Shark-esque character, but ended up not getting any character because the guy playing him barely had any personality, and the writing did not use him well. Yeah, release the air cut, because I'm sure Croc will be more deeper on that. But who would win in a shark fight, Jeff the Land Shark or King Shark? Ooh, that is hard. I might have to go with Jeff the Land Shark because he can swim on land too. Alright, so, yeah, big shock. Suicide Squad Killer Croc sucks. Alright, gonna use my restroom break. Probably the last one since we're on the final four, but tell me who you guys want to see next. Might save Arkham Knight Croc for last to end on a high note, but... yeah, sorry, ad coming. Alright, gonna come back soon. Tell me who you want to see next. The live action ones or the cartoon one. BRB. there you are. I'm back. Good idea. Arkham Knight for last, definitely. King Shark, Bird, Birdie. Trying to recall the others. Okay, I do remember who the rest are. Let's do Killer Croc from the DC animated movie universe. This is Killer Croc from Son of Batman. Yeah, remember Killer Croc was on Son of Batman, the Damian Wayne debut movie. This Killer Croc, honestly pretty cool, but not too much to him. We'll put on Beta Beast. I will put him above Doom That Came to Gotham Croc. Yeah, Killer Croc is the opening fight on Son of Batman. Son of Batman is a terrible, terrible DC movie. For one big reason, it stars and features Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne is introduced in Son of Batman, but Killer Croc is Batman's opening fight. We return to Gotham after some Son of Batman events occur. Ra's al Ghul is killed, and Talia al Ghul takes her son Damian and flees their home, hoping that Bruce would help them. Batman is introduced fighting Killer Croc. Killer Croc has had mutation augments, making him a lot more fiercer. Croc grew a tail, much tougher scales, and can take a beating from Batman. Nothing Batman throws at him hurts him. His batarangs pretty much break, touching his skin. He can't punch him or KO him easily, and Croc has sharper claws, a tail, and is much more animal than man this time. Croc actually gives Batman a very thorough beating and thrashing. Batman actually struggles against Killer Croc, which I found hilarious because this is the same Batman who beat up Darkseid easily, but Killer Croc is just too much for him. Yeah, Croc gets augments that help him become a much tougher opponent. He almost kills Batman, but then Talia al Ghul saves him, and I do like this line. Didn't you tell your friends, beloved, that I'm the only villain who gets to bite you? Yeah, yes, innuendo joke. Talia al Ghul's the only one who gets to bite Batman. Do like Talia al Ghul. Morena Baccarin was underrated as Talia, but yeah, Killer Croc doesn't even get defeated by Batman. Talia al Ghul tasers him, and he's down. Croc doesn't return until halfway in the movie, where Batman's investigating Dr. Langstrom. We find out Kirk Langstrom has been testing basically his splicer weapons. He's testing animal DNA on people. He created splicer technology and is selling it to Slade's army. He interrogates Croc because he was a test subject using the splicer stuff to upgrade himself. It turns out this Croc is actually dying. He's suffering from his mutation and his augments are falling off. His skin is peeling away, he's shedding skin, and Batman easily rips off his tail from his body in a really gross scene. Yeah, Batman interrogates a chained, dying Croc and offers him a cure in exchange for telling him where Kirk Langstrom is going. It turns out Langstrom is selling his splicer weaponry to Slade to create an army of ninja man-bats. Yeah, Son of Batman is really stupid. Cool, okay. Hey, V-Scorpio, glad you're sticking around. I would like to see Killer Croc and King Shark meet up. I think they would be rivals. That would be pretty funny. One of my favorite moments of that film when Talia showed Damian to Bruce and even confirmed that he is his son. Of course, the second is when Dick mentions protection that Bruce told him. He grows a tail like the Killer Croc Night Force Ninja action figure. Yeah, he does, but Batman ripped it off, and that's kind of the last we ever see of this Killer Croc. Yeah, he's okay. Has a pretty cool fight scene with Batman. To his credit, he nearly succeeds at killing Batman, but he's clowned by Talia al Ghul using a taser. I forgot, is Croc a human with a mutation, or is he a Croc who mutated? He is a human guy who mutated into a crocodile man. Yeah, Son of Batman, Croc, he's okay. One of the few highlights of an awful movie. Alright, so next we have the Gotham Killer Crocs. Believe it or not, we are kind of cheating with this one. We have Karen Jennings, the girl Killer Croc from Gotham, and I actually liked her. I'm going to be putting her onto Awesome Alligator. I want to put her onto S tier, but unfortunately she had one episode. So, During the Season 2 story arc, Bruce and Alfred are trying to investigate what the Wayne parents were connected to. We find out the Wayne parents were involved with Hugo Strange in the Court of Owls. They were making super soldiers while in Arkham Asylum. Bruce's dad was a doctor and he worked part-time at Arkham, where he took pity and compassion on this girl patient called Karen Jennings. Karen Jennings was mutated by Hugo Strange to become a reptile person. And we see Karen Jennings, you can't see in this photo, she has crocodile hands. She has like reptile hands, like a claw on her hand. She is slowly becoming a crocodile woman. Yes, we had our first female Killer Croc. Unfortunately, the producers kind of got cold feet on gender-bending Killer Croc, and Karen Jennings does not survive for her, first adventure. Karen Jennings is this interesting character. She has intel that could help Bruce and Alfred crack the case and find out what his parents were involved in. Karen Jennings was once a Blackgate inmate. She was there, in juvie since childhood. Thomas showed her love, care, and compassion. She was suffering from her horrible reptile skin disease, and Thomas gave her treatment, helped her escape, and she meets Bruce in the present day. Bruce needs her help trying to expose Hugo Strange and uncover this conspiracy. She's reluctant at first, but gives in, helps give them intel, and unfortunately, Karen Jennings does not last her first adventure because Mr. Freeze is sent in by Hugo Strange to kill her. Was gonna say, who? And then, yeah, that's why I kind of don't remember her that much, being only in one episode. So, they were teasing this girl was gonna be Killer Croc. Gotham teased that Killer Croc could be anyone, kind of like the Joker. They were kind of playing fast and loose with who was a Batman character and who wasn't. We meet several characters who are like Killer Croc. Gordon fights a crocodile man in the circus. There's a guy in the sewers who suffers radiation burns, giving him scales. And we meet a girl who has crocodile appendages. She's suffering from the crocodile skin disease and has claws on her hands. She's slowly becoming a crocodile woman. And tragically, she dies sacrificing herself so Bruce and Alfred won't be killed. Mr. Freeze pretty much murders her. Yeah, Mr. Freeze turns her into ice and she shatters, pretty much confirming that she's not coming back. My brother Wolf actually really loved this character, thought she would have been great as Killer Croc because she had an intriguing backstory, a likable personality, really cool crocodile CGI, and could have amounted to something very great because there was something interesting about a nice girl version of Killer Croc. Unfortunately, she's dead. She was not the Killer Croc canon. Instead, we'll make Firefly a girl because that makes so much sense. An idea for a DC film: Joker, Croc, Mr. Freeze, and Poison Ivy escape their comic world and wreak havoc in the real world. Attack of the Mutant with Batman icons. The female Croc reminds me of the Arthur guy who was Penguin's accountant, who was revealed to be the ventriloquist in Scarface, but they removed it. Yeah, Gotham kept teasing that these might be Batman villains, and the ones who weren't got killed or written off. Speaking of which, we also have another Gotham Croc. This is another cameo Croc who is going into Croc Chow. Yeah, so when Selina and Bruce are infiltrating and investigating Arkham Asylum, we see another guy, the Scaled Man. There's a reptile Scaled Man being escorted on an elevator, being shocked and prodded by Hugo Strange's henchmen. And yes, it is a shallow reference to Arkham Asylum. Croc is being electrocuted and forced onto an elevator, just like how he was in Arkham Asylum. And yeah, it's just a cameo. It is a cameo. It's a lame, blink and you'll miss it Killer Croc appearance, implying that this guy might be the real Waylon Jones. Yeah, he's gone on to Croc Chow. It's just a cameo. But finally, let's end this on the high note of all high notes with another S-tier Croc, Arkham Knight Killer Croc. And yep, he is going on to Killer. I'm gonna put him under Arkham Asylum Croc because I love that one much more. This is Arkham Knight Killer Croc. We finally see Another phase of Killer Croc's painful mutation, he turns into a giant kaiju croc. Croc's mutation has gotten much worse. He now has like a turtle shell of scales and a much more bestial form. He's grown larger, he's grown buffer, has kind of lost a few of his muscles, but is much more feral and has a lot of spikes all over him, and he's grown a tail. Is it like Venom, like anyone can be Venom, like Lady Croc? Kinda, Monica, that's what it was like. Did you see my question? What if Killer Croc got into the Lazarus pits and used it? What would it do? I would assume it would make him better, probably cure his croc condition. Only 2 crocs to make crocodile gumbo soup. Yeah, sorry I didn't see that. Alright, yeah. If he used Lazarus Pit, I would assume it would actually make him better, probably give him sanity, and cure a little of his crocodile condition. Wait, why is the animated series Croc on A level? He was in Batman TAS. Well, I do think he was kind of ruined as the show went on, particularly when he became a joke villain. Yeah, sorry, Killer Croc Morgan. I thought he was pretty good, but he was easily overshadowed by other villains. Not like Arkham series Croc, Arkham Knight Croc. This guy, also S tier. I know it's pretty much the same Croc, but Arkham Knight Croc will go under the Asylum one because I like that design more. Shame that Lady Croc didn't make it. She would have had a love scene with Waylon Jones, Killer Croc. Lol. Okay, so to wrap up, Arkham Knight Killer Croc. So, Croc is technically not in the main campaign. In the main campaign, he's like in a dream sequence. He's working with Penguin, Two-Face, and Riddler to capture Joker Batman, and he dies in this dream sequence rather hilariously too. The Joker mobile runs him over and kills him first, and that's the end of Croc in the main campaign. However, Croc gets a huge story and a lot of good moments in the Season of Infamy DLC. Killer Croc is in the bonus DLC, where you get more side missions added to the Arkham Knight game. Croc was taken to Iron Heights Prison. The prison is actually a Zeppelin Supermax prison, but it crashes in Gotham City Bay before it can take off. The Iron Heights Blimp Zeppelin prison crashes into the river, of course, allowing Croc to escape. Croc leads a prison revolt, and we find out this prison is actually corrupt. The prison is run by this corrupt warden who is running illegal tests and torture on the inmates. They're building super weapons to sell on the black market, and Killer Croc is their gold maker, their money-making machine. Killer Croc can regrow limbs. They did brutal torture and tests on Croc, cut off one of his arms and he grew it back, and they realized they could harness this superpower to sell on illegal stuff on the black market. Croc decided hell no, and he broke free, leading a mass prison revolt, where Batman finds out there's more to this prison than meets the eye. You encounter Killer Croc. I do like his jump scares with him. They do try to make you scared of him again. His mutation and look is definitely intimidating because Croc is much, much bigger, but the highlight of this is Croc abducts the Warden, where you have to have a double team boss fight. Batman and Nightwing fight Killer Croc. Batman cannot beat Killer Croc in a straight up fight. He does take a lot of damage, and you basically have fun working with Nightwing, double teaming Croc, kind of like the Albert King boss fight in the Joker's level. Steve Blum just nails Croc in these games. He absolutely does. Blum came back to Killer Croc after, for some reason, Kerry Payton took over in the Arkham Origins game, but Steve Blum is back and he does a much better job. Croc has pretty much lost his ability to speak. He does say some words, but he does a lot of Hulk grunts. We make Warden suffer. He's not as articulate as he was in the last Arkham title, chronologically speaking. So when is the next tier list? Tomorrow or this week? Will it be Clayface or Poison Ivy? Sadly, it's not going to be tomorrow. Sorry, guys. I do have some stuff I need to take care of. I did do a new video recently, so I was going to take a break after that. Want to do Killer Croc for a long time, though. Yeah, we still got plenty of villains to work with. Yeah, Steve Bloom is excellent as Killer Croc. It's too bad Talia didn't survive in Arkham City, because we could have had Damian Wayne again. No, it's a good thing Talia died then. But a better version, not the Injustice version. I think Damian Wayne could work in the Arkhamverse. I'm not gonna fight for seeing him, but if they did do the whole Talia did have Damian off-screen thing, I think fans would have warmed up to it, and they would have made Damian feel like an interesting character, because the Arkhamverse writing is that good. But I'm not gonna shed any tears that we never got Damian Wayne in this saga. Yeah, Batman and Nightwing do get a pretty awesome boss fight against Croc too, I admit. Yeah, so the level itself is fine. I do like this sinking prison level. It is very interesting, the Zeppelin scenario. The story, it's kind of meh. Croc's DLC kind of falls smack in the middle of my ranking. Personally, I do kind of like the Mad Hatter a bit more, because Mad Hatter's one of my favorite villains. The Croc boss fight, it is fun. The highlight of this is the double team fight against Killer Croc. Batman and Nightwing work together in an old-fashioned team-up, and yeah, it is great. I love that Arkham Knight has Batman and the Bat family actually working together. Love the double team segments, Batman and Robin, Batman and Nightwing, and in the DLC, Batman and Batgirl. They can work together as a double team, and it is so fun. It is great. It is kick-ass, very blood-pumpingly fun. Batman and Nightwing double team the Killer Croc, and once again, Croc is locked up. They arrest the Warden too for his illegal operations, and give the Warden his karma by making him cellmates with Killer Croc. Unfortunately, that is the last we ever see of Killer Croc in the Arkhamverse, unless you want to count his 5-second cameo in Arkham Shadow. Yeah, I love that boss fight. I do like this design. I personally prefer the Arkham Asylum look, because that is perfect Killer Croc. This one gave him a lot more monstrous animal look. It looks like a kaiju. He almost looks like Gamera and Anguirus from Godzilla, but that's what makes him pretty cool. This is a very intimidating Killer Croc. I thought his DLC mission was fun. It was neat. Not one of my favorite side missions of the Season of Infamy, but it's fun double teaming Killer Croc with Nightwing, and that is what made Arkham Knight very entertaining. What about a tier list of the original Batman villains from the animated series? Oh, you want, let's see, Calendar Girl, Daggett, Babyface, Baby Doll, Lockup, or even Red Claw. Not a fan of Red Claw, but I see what you're saying. You want a tier list of Batman the animated series villains. Might do that. Some I do have to rewatch again, because as much as I love the animated series, the later season did have some stinkers. But yeah, animated series Batman tier list, that does sound very interesting. Just wanted to do another tier list about the characters. But to wrap up Arkham Knight Croc, yeah, he's going on to S tier. He's cool he's cool alongside all of the Arkhamverse villains. Arkham did a fantastic job at the Batman world. And of course, they made Killer Croc an epic all-star. And as you can see, we did it. We completed the tier list. We actually did it early for a change. What would Killer Croc look like in Arkham Knight? This is what he looks like in Arkham Knight. Hey, Cat, I made it. Aw, Christopher, you're just in time for us to wrap up. We ranked them all. Nice. Okay, so guys, there will not be a tier list tomorrow, so don't worry about waiting. Don't worry about being late or early. Not doing one tomorrow. It's Sunday. We're taking the day off. And I have a lot of content I'm still working on. Spooky season is coming to a close, but got some projects I want to tie up. I did release a new review. I once again talked about a Batman-related property, and one I hope you all love. It's on Patreon right now. Go check it out. Had a blast talking about it. Hoping to try and get you some more stuff soon. Next tier list, thinking about it, I might do something Scooby-Doo related. I know a lot of you want me to do Poison Ivy next. Trust me, that tier list is definitely in mind. I just gotta watch a few things. What will you do on October 24th? We'll see. That might be a weekday, so I'm not sure. Sorry for making it at the last moment. Don't worry, Christopher. We'll go over it one last time because we actually have time and a few Crocs. Yeah, we did it. We completed the tier list. We'll go over them one last time for all you late birds, or for those of you to skip click all the way to the end just to see the ranking in full. Take a picture if you can't see it. I ranked every Killer Croc adaptation so far. Just drinking some water because unlike Croc, I need to live on it. Arkham Knight Killer Croc has the best design in my opinion. Really, you like that look? Sorry, I am a bit biased. I do like Arkham Asylum the most because that was my favorite Killer Croc, but Arkham Knight Croc, he's also an S tier, so it's a good design anyway. Oh, it's on Friday. Okay. Somebody wanted me to do a Zatanna tier list. I have bad news. I could not find a Zatanna tier list. There is no template that exists. I'll have to make one, and unfortunately that will take some time, so that one may come very late, but it's not going to be prioritized right now since there isn't one. Next tier list, I might do something Scooby-Doo related. I haven't talked about the Scooby-Doo guest stars in a while, and I know a lot of people want me to talk about that. Had a lot of fun doing the Killer Croc one, though, because it's always fun talking about Batman's greatest foes, and Killer Croc, as you can see, had a lot more good than bad. But let's do this. Let's go over it one last time for the recap. Okay, in Croc Dung, dead last is Batwoman Killer Croc. Was there really any surprise? The CW's Batwoman is one of the worst shows of all time, and leave it to them to fail at Killer Croc, one of the simplest villains. This Croc was so bad that they didn't even get Waylon Jones as Killer Croc. Next is Batman Dark Tomorrow Killer Croc. Yeah, you missed us talk about this one, Shadowlink. Dark Tomorrow Killer Croc, he sucks. Dark Tomorrow is an awful game, and their Killer Croc has one of the lamest designs ever, and one of the worst boss fights in a terrible video game. Yeah, he's F tier. And Suicide Squad Killer Croc. I am not a fan of David Ayer's Suicide Squad, and Killer Croc shockingly sucked in it. Yeah, like everything else about that film, this character sucked, underutilized, underdeveloped, and nothing is good about him or funny about him. The only thing that's good is his makeup, which is why he's up higher, but yeah, he's still Croc Dung. Dung is still dung. Alright, he was in that. Yeah, Dark Tomorrow Croc. Okay, these Crocs I have not seen or don't recognize. I don't recognize this Killer Croc. This is the anime Croc from the anime Suicide Squad Isekai. Never saw it. I planned to, but I just didn't before this tier list. Ruby Killer Croc. Yeah, Justice League vs. Ruby had Killer Croc in it, and I didn't see it because I don't care about Ruby. And DC Universe Online Croc. I haven't played this in ages, so don't remember him. I just don't recognize these Crocs. Then in Croc Chow, the Weaklings, Cape Crusader Croc. He's a cameo. Tomorrowverse Killer Croc. He's a cameo. Injustice the Movie Killer Croc. He's a cameo in a terrible movie. Gotham cameo Killer Croc. Yeah, he's 5 seconds in a hit show. Not really good. These are all Croc Chow, the weakest Crocs. These ones need a lot more evolution. Then the Beta Beasts. Batman the Brave and the Bold Killer Croc. Underutilized, barely character in a really fascinating show. They just didn't use him much. DC Superhero Girls Killer Croc. He's just a thug the heroes beat up. Lego Batman 3 Killer Croc, basically just a boss you fight. Injustice Stage Transition Killer Croc, a fun cameo, but still a cameo nonetheless. Red Skies Killer Croc, he was also kind of underutilized, like the redesign, but that's about it. He was also a terrible boyfriend towards Baby Doll. Batman Unlimited Croc, like the design, and John DiMaggio's pretty funny, but not a very vital character to his movies, basically another mindless henchman. Harley Quinn Killer Croc. He has some funny moments, but barely does anything. He's like a funny side character, has a funny quip or joke on the side, but he did score with the Enchantress, so that's something. Lovecraftian Killer Croc. Like the design, but he's just an attack dog. Once again, another guy they just fight. He's a bruiser character with no depth, and doesn't even have a voice actor. Son of Batman Killer Croc. Had a fun fight with Batman, but once again, kind of just a cameo, just someone for Batman to fight and beat up. All these guys are okay Killer Crocs, they're beta beasts. Gotta go, Infinity Nikki. Bye. Bye, Monica. the saying Batman doesn't kill is a lie because he has killed before. He has killed Killer Croc before. The best Killer Croc, in my own opinion, is Batman the Animated Series, both versions, and the Arkhamverse one, too. Yeah, we'll get to that. You missed us earlier. We talked about him. I like the animated series Killer Croc. I loved the circus episode where he teams up with the circus freaks, but he was kind of ruined as the show went on. That was why he fell a few levels below. If my memory serves, some police said that ever since Batman came, Gotham had supervillains rather than normal criminals. Okay, good Killer Crocs. The awesome alligators. The Lego Batman the movie Killer Croc. I love him. He drives a monster truck. Has some funny lines in the movie, but again, he's also kind of a cameo character. But we'll put him on to A tier for his hilarity alone. Gotham Knights Killer Croc. Yes, Killer Croc was in Gotham Knights the anime, had a cool fight with Batman. I will say he wins points for being a cool, scary anime Killer Croc, but that's about it. He's on low A tier. The Lego Batman Killer Croc, the second design, I do like this one. It's basically his Arkham Asylum look, but in Lego form. Pretty fun. Arkham Origins Croc, easily the weakest of the Killer Croc designs. He's a fun one-and-done boss fight, and carrying on the tradition of seeing Killer Croc in every Arkham game, he's fine, but Steve Bloom is way better than Kari Payton. Karen Jennings, Lady Killer Croc. I liked her, but she died in her first episode. Would have been interesting to see a girl Killer Croc, especially one who's sympathetic and kind, but yeah, she died at the end of her debut. Wolf really likes her and might review her episode one day, but yeah, she's gone on to A tier. Beware the Bat. Yep, they had a cool Killer Croc. I do like this Croc. He was a very interesting character, and they captured his cunning, smart, sadistic side, but he only had 2 episodes. I think this Croc was pretty fine and pretty underrated. We'll put him on to A tier because he was a highlight from a very forgettable show. And the original animated the series Killer Croc. Yeah, I did grow to like him. I am not a fan of his gray design, and did not like that they made him stupider as the show went on, but honestly, he's pretty fun. I like him. Had 2 great episodes. Batman and Harvey Bullock double team him, and the Circus Freak episode, one of the greatest episodes of the show, actually made Croc a very compelling character. He is, unsurprisingly, the top of the A tier. I didn't know there was a lady Killer Croc. Interesting. Yeah, we talked about Gotham having a girl Croc. They almost made her Killer Croc, but chickened out at the end and had her killed off by Mr. Freeze. Okay, our top 5 Killer Crocs. We have Baraka. Yes, we have Baraka with his Killer Croc skin. Baraka is a kick-ass character, and similar to Katana's Catwoman, I love that they made iconic MK characters look like Batman foes. Baraka's Killer Croc is the perfect DLC skin. Though personally, I love Katana as Catwoman more. But yeah, Baraka is S tier because of course he is. Lego Batman Killer Croc. Yeah, Lego Batman is fun, and leave it to them to make Killer Croc a fun character to play as. Kick-ass boss fight, kick-ass design, and a fun toy to have at home. Ron Perlman's Killer Croc from the Batman. Yeah, this is a fantastic Killer Croc. Love the design, love the personality. I wish he got a lot more episodes to do stuff, but Ron Perlman really knocked it out of the park, and the animators had a ton of fun drawing this guy and his fight scenes. The Batman made Killer Croc one of the coolest characters ever. He belongs up here in number 3. Second place going to Arkham Knight Killer Croc. Yeah, I know, a lot of people like this design more than the original, but I'm a sucker for the classics. Arkham Knight Croc, fantastic character. Steve Bloom really knocks it out of the park, nails this role too. Gave Croc a very great performance, and Arkham Knight made Killer Croc one of the funnest boss fights in the video game, in a game that got rid of most of their boss fights. So yeah, he pretty much earns points for that. But number 1 has to go to Arkham Asylum Killer Croc / Arkham City Croc. Yeah, this is my favorite Croc. Love the design, love the look, love the backstory, love Steve Bloom's performance, especially in the interview tapes, and he has one of the scariest boss fights in all of Batman. Arkham Asylum Croc is easily my number 1 killer. Now that I think about it, Ron Perlman has voiced a lot of Batman, or a lot of villains in Batman's gallery, from Clayface to Killer Croc, technically Slade, though we all know the best DC villain he voiced was Robin from Robin. Slade. Well, this was fun, Cat. See you next time for a review or tier list. Bye, Cat. Bye, Christopher. Alright, so, got that. Killer Croc from Arkham Asylum / Arkham City is my #1 Killer Croc, and dead last is Batwoman Killer Croc, because that was obvious. Take one last snapshot if you haven't seen them all. Trying to fit them all in the picture, but yeah, doing the best I can. So, thank you all for joining us. I'm glad you like these tier lists. I'm glad we finally crossed off another Batman foe on our list. Not sure what the next tier list will be on. I want to do something Scooby-Doo for the holiday. I know you all want to see Poison Ivy, but I still gotta watch some stuff with her. Yeah, I know it's taking a while, but what can I say? I got a life. Hope to see a Clayface or the original Batman, the animated series tier list. Bye, Enemy Night. Great video. See you later, alligator. Electricity is one of a reptile's weaknesses. Well, yeah, because they usually are slimier in water. Okay, so next tier list might be something Scooby related. I know Poison Ivy is still on the thought train. She's still coming. Don't worry, guys. Just gotta watch some stuff. And thinking about some other tier lists, but I just gotta take care of a few things. Working on some videos. I have a new video out on Patreon. I posted that today. It's Batman related, so I hope you guys are into it because it's a fun game to play and ties into our tier list here. But yeah, I got a new video. Wolf did a Twilight Zone. We're going to finish some Halloween projects coming out soon, but yeah. So that pretty much completes my tier list. Thank you all for joining us, so I'll finally set you guys free. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I'll see you all next time. Same cat time, same cat channel.